card, Jeff Dawson.
Welcome to the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And I got my guy with me who's co-hosting with me as well, too. And that's the Don of Cape Cod himself, Jeff Dawson. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Pops. I'm super excited, stoked. The East meets West here. Excited for 17-plus weeks of Bettor's Edge to help everyone cash some tickets.
All right. So pretty much this is going to be one of the weirdest NFL seasons ever. It's 2020. You would have thought it would have been a very historic year this year, and it's probably going to be a very historic year as well. I feel like we have a wide open NFL season, and boy, oh boy, I just can't wait to jump into these into all these different divisions and everything like that with you, Jeff. So first, you already know the most popular division by the media, and that's going to be the NFC East. And we're going to go ahead and talk about everybody's, well, they call them America's team, but if you ever look at Twitter or any other social medias, it might just be one little base in Texas that really loves the Cowboys with all their heart. But you know how it goes. The Cowboys seem like they run the world like the Lakers and the Yankees. So pretty much we have an 8-8 team from last season, Jeff. Once again, they're a highly favored team as well. Too. Dak Prescott didn't get paid the way that he was looking forward to, but everybody else knows Zeke got his money last season. Amari Cooper got his money this year as well. So Zeke has to wait another season to try to break the bank with the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, we're here to talk about what's going to go on the field. So, we'll save that stuff for Stephen A. Smith and them. So pretty much with that, what I like here is I think the Cowboys.
Yo, what's going on, world? It's your boy Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper with Chris Ariola, Riverside's own. Hey, I'm a Pasadena boy myself, so Cali love. You know how we do it. Hey, like he said, he's talking all this crap about the Boston thing. LA, we win all the time because we win with weapons.
And pretty much that's what it is, man. And pause with that as well, too. So don't think nothing crazy with that. But they did get caught by the Eagles. The Eagles were kind of having a middling year and then turned it on in December. And as we talked about before on many of my shows, that the NFL looking forward to, but everybody else knows he got his money last season. December's your most important month. And wound up being that the Amari Cooper got his money this year. So they wind up getting the one and only playoff spot for the NFC East team. But they have the Cowboys here at 9.5, bordering on 10 right now. And I love the season to try to break the bank with the going over 10. I think the Cowboys are 11, 12-win team. Jeff, what are your thoughts about the Cowboys this season?
I don't want to tip my hand right away and say my expectations long-term on the Cowboys. In March, we released
Cowboys, but at the end of the day, we're here to talk about what's going to go on the field. So, we'll save that stuff for Stephen A. Smith and them. So, pretty much with that.
But they added a nice young wide receiver that they're expecting some big things to fill the shoes of. They have.
I think the Cowboys.
What's going on, world? It's your boy Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper with Chris Ariola, Riverside's own.
80 catches there. They bring in what we call Legatron. They bring in from the Rams to do the kicking.
Hey, I'm a Pasadena boy myself, so Cali love. You know how we do it. Hey, like he said, he's talking all this crap about the Boston thing. LA, we win all the time.
We also expect the Cowboys to win the East. And maybe a little later on, I'll tell you how far.
And pretty much that's what it is, man. And all right, so that's the Cowboys for you. Paul do that as well too. So don't think nothing crazy with that. But it did get caught by the Eagles. The Eagles were kind of having a middle of the year and then turned it on in December. And as we talked about before on many of my shows, that the NFL looking forward to, but everybody else knows he got his money last season. December's your most important month, and wound up being that Amari Cooper got his money this year, so they wind up getting the one and only playoff spot. Zeke has to win his team, but they have the Cowboys here at 9.5, bordering on 10 right now. And I love to see how they try to break the bank with the Giants have a whole new program going on, whole new structure going on. They got the Patriots coach, special teams coach as well too. And I just really look at this team and I say to myself, it's about another year or two before we really get this thing together. But honestly, Saquon Barkley could pull a Derrick Henry from last season and be able to actually get this team over the top, because it's really based on Saquon's health this season. I know Daniel Jones is exciting and everything like that, but he's just a bit of a step up from Eli, and that's only because Eli got old. So pretty much that's a good and a bad thing at the same time too. At the end of the day, the Giants play superior New York City defense that we know from all their championship years and all their best years in football in general. Then this would be a team that you would have to deal with if everything is right with the defense. The offense can take care of itself because Barkley can open up things for the passing game. And, he's a multi-talented running back as well, too. So when I look at the Giants kind of are this question mark, Jeff, in my opinion. So I feel like with the Giants, they have a 6.5. And 6.5, to me, that's middling. That's what they're saying the Giants will be. Now, I'm saying that the Giants don't look like a playoff team, but they look like an improving team. So I'm going to go over and take that over 6.5, Jeff. I see a 7-9 team here. I honestly do. I think that they'll figure out ways to win big games in New York, and they'll figure out a way to win a couple of these divisional games, and they'll still a game that they're not supposed to win as well, too. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the Giants?
I agree 100% with everything that you said there. Judge, I think, is going to make a big impression there. The Belichick tree has not been very successful in the NFL, okay? But you hit a lot of very important points where I think they need to work from the defense forward. They have what they think is their franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones. I do expect him to make the next step. When you have probably the most explosive back in the game with Barkley, what you need to do, obviously, to protect your franchise quarterback, Ian Barkley, is work like Dallas usually does, is with that offensive line. They're getting better, but they're still not where they need to be. That 6.5 is such a tricky number because I think they will also get better as the season goes. So what I'm looking for from them is exactly where you are right now. I could see that 7-9. I really could. Maybe an 8-8, but technically for today, I also lean to that 7-9. I think with Washington and Philly, who's pretty banged up right now, I think they might be able to steal a couple conference games. Dallas and the Giants is always a war. It doesn't matter if one team's elite and one's not. So for today, I also lean on the over 6.5.
All right, so there it is. And also, Giant fans, if you're in Vegas or if you're somewhere close to a sports book, legalize, because, in the Northeast now, Jeff, guys can go to Pennsylvania, go over to your neck of the woods as well, too. If you're a big Giants fan, I say go ahead and jump on that 10-1. Hey, give them a shot. Give them a try, because they're 10-1 to win the division right now, and I like that number. If you're a big Giants fan and you feel real good about Daniel Jones and Barkley and things of that nature, I'm just throwing out the value to you guys. So 10-1 for them to win the division, that's a good number right there. And it's a long shot. But you know what? When I go to the racetrack, there's always a long shot that's on my race card. So, hey, give yourself a shot. That's all I say. So pretty much you want to be that guy maybe bragging in December saying, hey, I got the Giants ticket, and they sitting at 11-5. You know what I mean, Jeff? So it happens. It happens. All right, so we move on to public enemy number one, Philadelphia Eagles. They have been the pain in the Cowboys' side over the last 3 years. They've even held up a Super Bowl trophy before the Cowboys over the last. And you never would have thought the Eagles would have been able to win a championship, but they were able to get it third time around, second time around against the Patriots. And, that was a good moment for them as well, too, because a lot of people felt slighted by the first Super Bowl, Donovan throwing up. And still, to this day, I know Terrell's not the most loved person in Philadelphia. That's still one of the greatest games I've ever seen by a receiver just because of the way he was hurt. Simple. By any NFL player, pretty much, because most guys would have went out after the first, third catch, but T.O. stayed in there the whole game. So, to that, I just was thinking about that real quick. Let me stick to the point. We got a Philadelphia team that's going to struggle with you, Jeff. I'm going to be dead honest with you. The receiving, it's all based on receiving this year. Their receivers are old. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to occur here is a lot of injuries. And you're already saying that they're banged up as is. That's been the Eagles' story every year. But the Eagles have this next man up attitude. And that's why the Eagles have been able to be successful as well, too. But it really depends on the health of Carson Wentz. And I truly, honestly feel at some point, at the midpoint of the season, there's going to be some type of injury, some type of ailment that's going to hold him up. And it's going to really wreck this season for the Eagles, to be that honest with you. And there's no Nick Foles as a security blanket this time around. You have young receivers mixed in with older receivers who are kind of at the end of their rope a little bit. I know a lot of people say, nah, Deshaun can't be at the end of his rope. The more you talk on social media, the more I feel like you're at the end of your rope when you're an older player, Jeff. So pretty much I think that he's in a crucial situation right now when it comes down to final cuts and things of that nature. He'll probably still make the roster, but he won't have the same impact on this team as he had before because he's older now. And then you have a defense that is a question mark as well, too. But once again, this has been the calling card for the Eagles to be a successful team later in the year. The Eagles seem to turn it on every last 6 weeks of the year. And the first year they won the Super Bowl, they were dominant. But last year, they gutted it. And I think this year they won't even have a chance to gut it, Jeff. I think they'll be too far behind the pack. And I think they'll wind up being a third-place team this year at best, Jeff. Maybe second place. But all in all, I don't see the Eagles being that good of a team. And I know I got a lot of love in Philly. There's a lot of Philly guys. Hey, Philly, I still love you guys. But the thing is, though, you guys can even attest that you might not have the teams that you've had in the past, in my opinion. A lot of young players and a fragile quarterback. This is always a rush season somewhat, Jeff. No preseason, no way to work it out. So pretty much with the Eagles, what I'm doing, I got them under 9.5. They gave them way too many wins this season, in my opinion, as well, too, Jeff. Under 9.5, that's too easy for me. And I think that this team, at best, could probably be a 6-7 win team. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from Philly. So if y'all do great, make sure you throw all them eggs at my face and do whatever you got to do. But at the end of the day, though, I got them going under 9.5, Jeff. I think that, and right now, it's like minus 110. So pretty much, we'll see. It's kind of like I wouldn't call it a pretty much a dog bet or anything like that, but it is pretty low for a future as well too, the minus 110. So that's my thoughts on the Eagles, Jeff. And also for them to win the division this year, it's plus 115. So go ahead, Jeff. Prove me wrong. Make sure Philly's still on your side about this. So go ahead. Let us know what's going on with the Eagles on your side.
I think this is the easiest layup in the NFC East. For years, it's been the race to the first one that gets to 10. And you hit it perfectly when you talked about that late 5, 6, 7 week stretch that Philly's been able to surpass Dallas. Not happening this year. Absolutely 100% not happening. Wentz is already hurt. Miles Sanders is already hurt. Their rookie wide receiver Rager is out 4 to 6 weeks. Deshaun Jackson actually is blowing it up in camp. He's their only wide receiver doing anything right now. Their defense has saved them. Pass rush, pick sixes. I love everything about the Philly team on paper. Unfortunately, this year, I think they're going to be too far back, like you said. This is Dallas's year. This is Dallas's year to not to just win the East, but they will win the East comfortably. That minus 9.5 right now, under over. Everyone listening, go to the books. Go to the window. Hit it once, hit it twice. Under 9.5, guaranteed. Lock it up.
All right, y'all heard it from the Don himself. So we move on to, so we don't get in trouble for it. We got to be PC here, even though I don't want to be. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad about it. But the Washington football team now, boy, oh boy, the messiest team in the NFL. The NFL's version of Animal House at this point. It's just, you got a bad owner, great coach. Guys on the roster that want to be there, but they don't know what their future is going to be. There's a lot of issues going on in Washington, and football is not going to be able to fix that this year, Jeff. I think that this team will be the absolute worst team in the NFL just simply because how bad everything has been over the offseason and how they really didn't replenish the roster the way that they should have. They did add some pretty good rookies. I still feel like Chase Young could be the rookie of the year defensively. He could be the brightest spot on the team. But it all comes down to the maturity of Dwayne Haskins, in my opinion. If Dwayne Haskins actually goes out and says, I'm going to prove the world wrong, Redskins could win 6-7 games. You're not a playoff team at all. And I feel that under 5 is the perfect bet for them, 5-11 team. Because you got to understand, when you say under, you can get the 5 and then get the push. You feel better when it hits at 5 and you got the under. You feel like an ass when it's the over and they get you right at the push. Because really, you can take that as a win and be like, yeah, we got under 5, so I'm going to take that as a win. But when they don't go over, that's really when they want to cancel. That's really when you say, damn, might as well cancel the ticket. I don't even want to push. So pretty much with that, under 5 seems likely to me. I think what we're doing right now is we're using Dwayne Haskins as a bridge quarterback, in a sense, to get to the next quarterback, because they're so excited about these quarterbacks coming out of college. But me, if I'm thinking like a GM, I know I'm thinking like a different type of GM, but I don't know about any college players yet this year because they're not as conditioned as they usually are. They're not going to be playing against a really full schedule of things as well, too. So if you already got great tape on these guys, great. But at the end of the day, you did draft Dwayne Haskins to be the future of the franchise. But as always, just like with all this brand new corporate NFL, you come in, you have to go. Usually when we bring in a new coach, the new coach wants to bring in the players that he wants to bring in. And so you're a part of the old package of what the Redskins used to be, kind of the toxicity with the Redskins were with Jay Gruden as the coach as everything's coming out. And now we're sitting here in this situation to where, okay, the franchise is a mess, and where else do we go from here? It's the only way up. The only way we can go is up, but it's not going to happen with this team this season. I got them under 5, Jeff, and they are one of the biggest odds to win a division as well, too. But I wouldn't be telling any DC folks, run to the window and bet them. I'm going to tell you, bet it under, hope for Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. That's my opinion. So how you feeling about the WFT, Jeff?
It's funny because I think this is the blueprint of the last year's Miami Dolphins, who I think started 1-6 and then, they rattled off 6 out of 7 or something crazy like that. In late March, East Coast Sports Investors released at 18-1 Alex Smith as the comeback player of the year. Okay, and he's been cleared. He's at practice as we speak. Haskins has been named as the starting quarterback. Ron Rivera battling some health issues. Adrian Peterson, the great one, is their quote-unquote starting back. They have Bryce Love and Gibson ready to take over. They have one of the great, I think, young and upcoming wide receivers in Terry McLaurin out of Ohio State. Here's what I expect. I think they're going to have the blueprint of last year's Dolphins. I think they're going to struggle and struggle hard early. I think Haskins will be replaced by Alex Smith. And I think the veteran leadership of not making mistakes of Alex with a veteran running back with Adrian Peterson, with a young wide receiving core, a defense that has a lot of holes. But I tell you, I am actually think that they will get to that 5, and you'll be sitting there sweating the last 2 weeks. Do they get to 6? So as of a shocker, East Coast Sports is going to say, take the swing and take the over. That's with Alex Smith coming in and Ron staying healthy and them coming together late. The back half, early they're going to look ugly, but I think the back half of the season is, I think, where they're going to get some momentum, gain some traction. I think they get to the 5, no problem, and I think you'll actually have 1 or 2 weeks where they might pull that last one off to get to 6. So I do lean over 5.
All right. All right. That's all I got to say about that one. And that's sharp. And so, drum roll, the division winner for the NFC East this year go ahead and go get your minus 150 out. That's 150 for every $100. So if you want to make two off of it, you put up $300 and go ahead and circle them Cowboys. Yeah, baby. I think they run away with it. They win it by 3 or 4 games this year, Jeff. I think it's their division to run away with this year. You know what I mean? So that's where what I'm looking at. That's how I'm seeing it. And we will move on from there. So let's go ahead and talk about the other division that used to get a whole lot of media play, but to one team. Now everybody's going to have to kind of share the spotlight a little bit. Now this season it's more about the recovery of the great ones, the Patriots. But we'll get to the Patriots in a moment. We're going to start off with the new kid on the block. Well, he used to be the old bully on the block, but remember they lost 4 times in the Super Bowl as well too. So pretty much the Buffalo Bills are back to being the creme de la creme somewhat of the AFC East. They don't have to deal with Tom Brady anymore, and they have this new influx of young quarterbacks. You have Tua in Miami. You have Sam Darnold in New York, and then you got Cam Newton, the wily vet sitting over in New England. But you also have I'm trying to remember his name because we're gonna forget his name at once Cam starts taking over.
You talking about Stidham?
Yeah, backup Stidham. So pretty much, let's go ahead and talk about the Bills. And the Bills 10-6 team last year, and you know what? I think they call the Cowboys America's team, but Twitter proved that wrong. I think that the Buffalo Bills are America's team because with every win, every week, it was like a high school feel. Like, we're going to go to the championship. We're going to win everything. And I ain't never seen a fan base so passionate about their team in one season, Jeff, honestly. The Buffalo Bills, you want them to get to be at that top level. You want it to feel like it's 1990 all over again, and you got the K-gun out there, and you got the killer defense out there on the other side with Bruce Smith. It's like you start evoking those emotions a little bit. And I think that this year the target's on their back, and it's going to be different. Nobody's going to just be like, oh, it's just the Bills. Nah, now the Bills are about to be taken seriously. It's not just going to be about, oh, it might be a tough game when we got to go over here to New Era Field or Orchard Park. Nah, it's going to be, man, they can come in here and beat us by 30 today if we don't play right. But thing with the Bills are, will the offense go, though, this season? I know that they got Diggs now. That looks like it's going to it looks like they can make that happen, but they're going to have to open up that playbook a little bit. And they're going to have to protect that quarterback, too, because there were too many situations where they lost him for the game or lost him for a moment in the game, and it really threw things off a little bit. But the effort that they played within that playoff game, it just still irks me right now. And the way they played the Bills at Foxborough as well, too, it's just like, damn, these should have been games that they should have won. This is the season where they get over the top. They learn the lessons, right? So I still have the Bills here going over 8.5 wins. Saying that they're going to win the division this year, but I'm going to say they're going to be right there in the knee-deep of things. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the Bills?
I think you hit some great points there. I think Josh Allen will take that next step, the step that they need. I think he got well over 600 yards rushing. When the pocket collapses, he's great at able to scramble like some of the other running quarterbacks. They do add Stephon Diggs, who should be able to bring the passing game to the next level. They have John Brown, who's a speedster on the other side. They have Singletary, and they drafted Zach Moss from Utah. So they got a nice little 1-2 punch there in the backfield. They have the best defense in the East and one of the top defenses in the AFC as a whole. Correct with the bullseye on their back. The AFC now is wide open. Tom's gone, and now the Patriots, which we will get to, bring in Cam. It's still Belichick's division. Until you knock the champs off, you gotta knock them out. If you can get 8.5, I'm still all over the Buffalo Bills indefinitely. Getting over that 8.5, I think they've made strides where they're ready to take it to the next level. They got a taste last year, and with no Tom there, I think it's their division to lose, and I think they definitely go over the 8.5.
Yeah, man, this team is going to be the flavor of the month, flavor of the week. I know a lot of people betting them on the Super Bowl 9-1 this year. So the Bills, you have a lot of people watching this season. No, it's no more than just a little team, the only team that plays in actual New York State. Now y'all really do have some eyes on you. All right, so Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have been the talk of everything since draft day. They got Tua. Tua's this next level quarterback, probably the best thing that we've had since Marino, even though Tannehill wasn't that bad when he was there. But, we impatient fans and impatient front offices, how that story goes, Jeff. Josh Rosen, the guy that they kind of rushed into things, he was supposed to be the next level quarterback, but now they got Tua the savior, the flying Hawaiian. Now, the thing is with Tua, it's going to be a very, very steep learning curve with him. I know what the Dolphins are thinking. They're thinking Russell Wilson, Jeff. That's what they're thinking. A guy who's going to compete, keep plays alive, be able to get the ball down the field with the great spiral, all that good stuff. But to me, Russell Wilson is hard to duplicate because he ain't got the same story as Russell Wilson, Jeff. Russell Wilson had to work hard for everything he got in the NFL, and we both know this. And he was a third rounder who became the starter. He wasn't supposed to start for the Seahawks when he got there. Now you got Tua. He got all the expectations in the world. So I think he can do well. But this is Miami, and he has to understand that these fans' patience is very limited. They can say it ain't, but it is. So with Miami, once again, they fall into the category just like the Giants, Jeff. Not a playoff team yet, but an improving team, in my opinion. They'll have a head coach who's really good at what he's doing, but he's still learning how to be a great head coach. He's a good head coach right now, but he's learning how to be a great head coach, and I know he's going to improve this team. They're going to be good this season. They're going to be real good this season, but they're still going to run into they're still going to run into a couple issues because they're still missing players in certain spots, in my opinion. But I still do have them going over 6.5. You get minus 135 on that bad boy, and they're 8-1 to win the division as well, too, Miami fans. So put that in your notes as well. So that's my thoughts on the Dolphins this season. Good, improving team, but not ready for the play. Jeff, how about you?
I think when I think of Tua, and you brought up Russell Wilson, I'll go a decade and some back. I'll go Steve Young. I'll go lefty to lefty. Both can run. Didn't have the strongest arms, but had good accuracy and good touch. So when I think of Tua, I'm going to lean Steve Young. Now with Flores in Miami, they caught fire at the end of the year. Everyone expecting them just to start where they left off. I don't see that happening. I don't know when he's going to go to Tua either. I don't think there's any reason to rush Tua into this mix. Fitzmagic, whatever you want to call him, start the season slow. Offensively, defensively, they're good. Defensively last year they gave up a lot of points, but they got into shootouts and they were able to win. We know of how quick of a starter Fitzmagic sometimes is, but then he can turn into that turnover and interception machine. I like the direction they're going. I really, really do. I think the AFC East will be very competitive this year. Any team can knock off any team. There will be no 10, 12-point favorites, vice versa. So the 6.5 is an intriguing number. I think it's kind of they're setting you up there. Do you like Miami more or do you like the Jets more? Both teams, I think young and going what we hope is to the next level. 6.5, intriguing number. I think Vegas is baiting us to take that over. I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to take the under here. I'll take the little value there, saying, 6-10, 5-11, one more year to regroup in season, and next year will be their jump.
Oh, all right. Well, I like it. Sounds good. And I know I'm going to probably confuse because I'm looking at my notes right now with the Pats, but I'm going to go ahead, and this is a team, the New York Jets. The team that Queens loves. The Jets. Jets. Boy, oh boy. Sam Darnold. Let me just give you this little inklet right here, Jeff. They started off 0-4, 0-5. I think it was 0-5. They were absolute jokes in the NFL. You know, everybody was like, oh, Jets are awful. Sam Darnold comes back from mono. They beat the Cowboys, who were really good at that time. Cowboys walked into the game, well, this should be a walk in the park. They got beat. Winds up, from that game on, the Jets actually became over 500 team. They didn't finish over 500, but they were able to snatch up after that point. And if you include that game, they won their next 7. No, they won their next 7 out of 11 games, and that was pretty good to watch. Now, at one point, the Jets were actually kind of in the playoffs for about 5 minutes. So, you know, just as a wild card. So I'm just talking about the way that the Jets played last season when Darnold was full strength. They were a much better team offensively, and then they were able to get very good defense from the other side. They are, to me, if with a healthy Sam Darnold all season, this is the most dangerous team in the AFC East. I know it sounds crazy today, but the quarterback play, when you think about the 3 young quarterbacks in the division, Josh Allen is a gamer. You know what I mean? He's a gamer, and he lets how the game comes to him that way. But Sam Darnold is a guy you think about California, USC, Golden Boy. And when it's time to get the job done and he got talent around him, he's going to get the job done. And Sam Darnold has been impressive for a very long time. I know there's a lot of skeptics. There's a lot of people that dog other things with him as well, too. But Sam Darnold is a monster. To me, I feel Cam Newton has the resume, but the best quarterback in the division is Darnold. You know what I mean? So pretty much this is my danger team in the division right now. I don't know where to put them at. I want to say they could win the division, but I think that's kind of jumping the gun a little bit. That's kind of disrespecting the Bills. So I'm thinking that they're a wild card team for sure this year. And don't we have an extra playoff spot this year as well, too, Jeff? It could be that they could be that final team in. And I really like this team. And I think that Le'Veon Bell is going to be much improved this year with his quarterback in there full time. But Sam Darnold's health is the most important thing for the Jets this year. I got him going over 7, Jeff. And I really do like their odds to win the division as well, too. It's 7-1. So there it is, Jets over 7. What are you thinking about the Jets, Jeff?
I want to follow that up, but I can't in regards to when I think of the Jets and I think of the Jets last year, 2 things come to mind. Adam Gase and ghosts. I still see Sam Darnold in that game on the sideline when they picked him up saying ghosts. I love Sam Darnold at USC. I thought he was the next coming. He was going to be, and I still do. This team currently in their preseason mode, Le'Veon Bell's slow, they're saying. They're banged up. Wide receiver, their draft pick, Mims is banged up. Herndon, their tight end, just got banged up. I don't think the Jets have bought into Adam Gase. If they come out 5-0, they're in. If they come out 0-5, what's the New York Post going to say? When are they going to fire Adam Gase? What are they waiting so long? So the start of this season will tell you in the first month or 6 weeks which way and direction this is going. I believe in Darnold. I really do. And I was a big fan when they brought Bell over. Something's not right with Mr. Bell right now. They haven't addressed, or they tried to address the wide receiving core. I think Mims will help them, not this year, but in the long term. Herndon is a great tight end. Again, a year away. My problem with them is, are they in or are they out on Gase? It's not Darnold. Darnold is not their problem. So I'm going to stick with the under. I'm going to go with the slow start. They decide to fold the tent. They want Gase out, and they will move on with a new coach mid-season / next year. So I like the Jets. I like where they're going to go, but just not this year. So I will take the under.
All right. So that's fair. That's fair. And pretty much I'm feeling like, damn, you got everybody in the division going over this year. Pop, what's going on with you? But it's gonna be a tough division. I feel like it's gonna be the 1990s AFC East. I remember the AFC East in the 90s. It used to be crapshoot. Like, who's gonna win it? It used to be a 5-team division. Who's gonna win? You know what I mean? Like, and then pretty much you have one of the worst teams in the league and one of the more grittier teams in the league in that division. Now it's like so wide open. And let's go ahead and talk about Bill B, a.k.a. Darth Vader, a.k.a. leader of the all-time villainous coach of them all. One of my favorites, though, always in my top 3. And those boys over there in Foxborough, right in your neck of the woods. Boy, oh boy, the Patriots are the biggest question mark in the NFL, simply because what's happening on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully, the Patriots can have a patchwork defense that's going to be able to help Cam Newton out just a little bit when they get to these tough games. Patriots have set themselves up to be a middling team this season. I'll be honest. I wanted to really fall in love with the Patriots this year and say, hey, they got Cam. They doing all the Patriots Revenge Tour is live and in effect. No, it is no Patriots Revenge Tour. This is more like a Patriots evaluation season, in my opinion. And I feel like Bill Belichick wants to give himself a coaching challenge somewhat. So I really do feel like this team is still capable of winning the AFC East because they're the landlord until somebody else says so. We all know that, Jeff. But at the end of the day, though, this team is not going to be just walking through Buffalo. They're not just going to be walking through the Jets. They're not just going to be walking through the Dolphins. Well, they don't ever really walk through the Dolphins. But, if the game's in Miami, it's going to be a game except for last year. And, and it's funny with the Dolphins. They're always going to get the Patriots back. It don't matter how bad the Patriots blow. Every time the Patriots blow out the Dolphins, they're going to come back and beat them. And I told everybody, mark them words at the end of the year. I told you that last year too, Jeff.
They cost them the bye week.
Yeah, but to me, that didn't even matter. They were still going to lose. You know what I mean? Because we're going to get to them in a moment too. But all in all, though, the Pats – I got the Pats right at 97. I feel like the winner of the division winds up being 97, Jeff. But you get another playoff team in as well, too. That's how it's not going to be dominant NFL. I was looking at my stats last night, and I said you had 13-3 teams, 14-2 team. These guys literally ran away with the league last year. They're not going to do that this year, Jeff. Everybody was kind of in a middling situation. I think everybody it's going to look like the 90s somewhat. You're going to have one, maybe 2 teams with really great records, but everybody's going to be fighting, to really get to that playoff spot. Preseason is very important. You know what I mean? You find players that you didn't even know who were going to be on your roster opening day. And that's why Bill Belichick kind of relishes people opting out because now he can bring another guy in. Belichick loves that stuff. He loves bringing in new players to evaluate to see how good they are and all that good stuff. But this ain't the year for all that. And he doesn't have the same leadership that he had with Tom, the best student in the class at the front seat and all that good stuff. You got Cam, who's cool, chill. He gonna come up in there and do Cam stuff. And I know Bill Belichick is gonna let guys do what they do so it doesn't look like he's trying to police people, but he's always writing notes. And if you don't do what he wants you to do, you'll be out of here by week 5. He does not care about embarrassing players, Jeff. You know that. Chad Ochocinco's of the world, AB, it doesn't matter. He's had high-profile guys, and he got rid of all of them damn near the same way. Randy Moss trade you in the middle of the season. You know what I mean? Ty trade you right before the season starts. Ty Law, going down the way to the Chiefs. So, he's not worried about it. He's cut Hall of Famers before. Okay? So, pretty much he's on I would say, a rehearsal somewhat. It's like a temp job for Cam right now. And if he does well the first 4 weeks of the season, he's going to be on the team. But if he doesn't, they'll figure out a way to open up that roster spot for a developing quarterback they already have. So with me, I just think it's going to be a lot of clouds over that team. I think they only win 9 games this year, Jeff. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team this year. I'm not saying that they can't make the playoffs this year, but they're not going to win. It's going to be the first year in a while Bill doesn't get double-digit points. 9-7 at best, Jeff. 9-7, and they can still win the division.
I heard a lot of 9 and a hooks out there in Vegas. If you can get a 9.5 number, go to the window right now, this second. Stop what you're doing and bet the under. Bet the under. Let me tell you, they're the team that has double digits that opted out. Most teams had 3, 1, 2, or 3. Patriots had double digits. Okay. Damian Harris, who I say was going to be their lead back, the redshirt freshman, now sophomore from Alabama that played with Josh Jacobs, was going to take over this role. He had surgery on his finger or his thumb or something, is potentially inactive game 1. Sony is back. They have no wide receivers. They have an agent, Julian Edelman. They have a second year with N'Keal Harry, who still can't get it. They have 3 tight ends that no one knows their names. Right now, Asai or Asiasi or whatever, however you want to pronounce it, was their lead tight end. He's nicked up. Their defense is Swiss cheese. They're going to the Auburn-style offense. This is going to be a run, and run some more. Keep an eye on those under-over totals. Bet the unders on the Patriots because they're not going to try to get up and down in 4, 5, 6 plays. This is not that team that they're trying to do. They're trying to hold on to the ball so their defense doesn't have to get back out there. Bill is coaching to catch Schuler, past Schuler. He also has an eye over in Tampa Bay and what Tom is doing. They're both playing to win without each other. It's what came first, the chicken or the egg. 2 GOATs, 2 of the best that ever lived. That 9.5 number, if you can get 9.5 out number on the Patriots, bet the under and keep hitting the tickets.
Yep, and yes, and Jeff, you were so right about that. So that's why I'm saying I got a 9 here, but that's not – the lines are different everywhere. So I got them under 9 because I did feel like they're at 9-17. But 9.5 just ensures that you'll be able to cash that ticket. Okay, and under 9.5 is good. All right, so pretty much with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, and we're going to be over here talking about the NFC North and the AFC North, so you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Drink Aid, ready for distribution worldwide.
We're back with the NFL Bet Exchange. I'm your host, Pop DiBiase, and I still have my man, the Don of Take God, Jeff Dawson, with me. So here we are. Well, we got Jeff. We got Jeff in the East, and we got me in the West. So let's paraphrase. Let's get all that correct as well too. I wish we would be sitting in a beautiful studio together, but you know how the plague and everything, as they want to put it as, is kind of got us in this bind. But we'll be fine once the election's over. Just don't worry about it. 2021 is going to be good. That's all I can say. But let's go ahead and get down to business. I know I don't want to be taking up too much of you guys' time. So here we are, NFC North. Jeff, I just talked about the AFC East being the most wide open division. How about this division? I think we got 4 teams that all have a shot at winning the division. Everybody. Simply because you think about the Bears, ultimate defense. You think about Packers, Aaron Rodgers. You think about Minnesota, best of both worlds. And then you think about Detroit, and I forgot that Detroit's there. But Matt Stafford and Matt Patricia, third time around, this could be something. Because when we get to Detroit, we'll have some fun. But let's talk about Chicago first. And the Bears, I'm telling you, Jeff, we still got this big issue in Chicago when it comes to the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky. I like the guy. I really do. I felt like he didn't have enough weapons around him. And by him not having that effective running game that he had his rookie season, it took a lot away from him. He was really missing Jordan Howard last season. Big time. And Khalil Mack literally was on an island fighting 3 to 4 guys every time he stepped off the line last season and still was able to make big plays happen. But he needed to have that other pass rusher with him as well, too. I think they've mended that issue as well. Also, the receivers were a little average last season. This year, I think that they'll be much better. And Trubisky being able to move so well with his feet, that gives him the shot to say, ain't no play dead. But the thing is, though, he has to start making better decisions. He does still look like a college quarterback out there where you have to kind of simplify this whole thing for him to look really good. And I know that's bad for me to say, to give a quarterback props and then really kind of tear him down at the same time, too. But that's what the jury has been saying about him. But I truly feel, have patience. Yeah, let me give you a great example. Denver game, Jeff. They're not supposed to win that game at all. At all. And you know I'm getting into this one because I lost money that day, Denver. So I vividly remember that game. But the way he drove them down the field was special. And I said that you don't give up on guys like that. Broncos have played a perfect defensive game. He saved his best moment for when it counted the most. And when you got a quarterback like that, you just don't do that. You make the improvements around him to make him a better player, to get the absolute best out of him. You know what I mean? He has all the makings, all the look of a starting quarterback. If he's able to perform just a tad bit better than what he did in his rookie year, this is a dangerous team. But it comes down to how good the defense is going to be. The reason why the Bears, when they're elite, is because their defense plays out of this world. They get a lot of defensive touchdowns. They get a lot of turnovers. You get that Bears team this season, Jeff, watch out. They're not a Super Bowl team yet. Possibly be a playoff team. You got a playoff defense. That's why I got these boys going over 7.5 as well, too. All right, so there it is, minus 35, over 7.5 on the Bears. They're at best, Jeff, a 9-17. That's how I'm feeling. I feel good about the Bears this year. Go ahead and break it on down for me.
I think 2 years ago when Mac came over, that was the splash that they needed. They were living off of Khalil. And their defense at home, they were lights out. I mean, the crowd, everything about them that season was special. Last year, a lot of injuries. Trubisky, I didn't feel the same vibe from that defense. Going into this year, they had high expectations to bring Foles over. They have the battle at QBs. David Montgomery, the second year, he's going to bounce back. Tyreek Cohen, Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller. They have about 8 tight ends on their roster. Pick any tight end you want. I mean, they could line up their offensive line with tight ends if they wanted to. Now, Montgomery pulled severe groin pull. So they had an opportunity to bring Fournette in. I'm very surprised with them. They were the leader in the clubhouse, and they didn't pull that trigger there. So you got Tyreek Cohen, and who's going to be the lead back there? We don't know. It's a clouded division. Like you said, you had a Packer team, 13-3 last year. Stafford back. Check out when Stafford was there versus once they pulled the plug on him. And the Vikings, they just added another piece to their defense. I think this year, I lean the under 7.5. I think that they're going to be in a lot of close games. I think, again, the QB issue will be a sticking point. I also think the lead back will be another issue. I like a couple other teams in this division, so I am comfortable in saying under 7.5.
Gotcha. All right. Now let's go ahead and talk about the most miserable team not named the Cleveland Browns. That's going to be the Detroit Lions. I swear, these guys literally have a condo, a mansion, and an apartment on the bad side of town in Bad Beach City, Jeff. Like, literally, they are top residents, elite residents of Bad Beach City. I say Bad Beach City is something we're going to be talking about a lot. So Bad Beach City, you have the Detroit Lions, who are literally one of the top politicians for that municipal of the NFL, Bad Beach City. I say this because this is the only team I know that found themselves in several situations where they could have went ahead and won a game, and they figure out how to lose the game. I have never seen a team not be able to convert in the clutch at the 2-yard line as many times as I've seen the Detroit Lions over the last few years, Jeff. And last year it was like a bad movie. It was like Groundhog's Day for them at points. Like, geez Louise, when can we get a break? You know what I mean? They go up 10 points, and then you just tell yourself, don't worry, Detroit's going to give up the lead in a minute. And it always happened in their home games as well, too. But the bright spot about Detroit, like we were just talking about, Jeff, when they started the season, they were 2-0-1 last year. And a lot of people were like, hey, you know, Detroit's looking good. And Stafford, man, he might have the best season he's ever had. And then he broke his back, and things got different. And so when they went 3-2-1, I think, or 3-3-1, that was the season right there, Jeff. From that point on, I think they dropped, 9 to 10? They dropped, 10 games in a row?
Something like that.
And, you know, when they lost Stafford, it was like, well, just mail it in. But they kept fighting. They kept clawing. You know what I mean? They didn't lay down. And you know what? You appreciate that if you're a Detroit fan, but you just getting tired of living in Bad Beach City, though. Seriously. You know, the mansion's beautiful, but, you know, come on. Eventually, you want to be right up there with the top teams. You want to be there. And I think what has to happen with the Lions at the end of the day, I think the Ford family has done a great job in the NFL, and, you know, keeping the Detroit brand bright and shining bright and keeping them relevant as a team and everything like that. But they're relevant for the wrong reason, and that's losing, Jeff. And I think at some point, I think maybe we might need to think about ownership change, in a sense. No offense to a great owner. The Ford's widow, she's a beautiful lady. She's progressive. She thinks, moves forward. But now she got your kids running the team, and, you know, I just really feel that if they got a fresh owner, a fresh mind, you know what I mean, they would be able to really move up to that next level. I think Matt Stafford's better days will be on his next team. I know he's going to be on another team other than Detroit. You know, we got to get Stafford somewhere where he can win somewhere. You know what I mean? And I think that right now with Matt, this is the year. This is a make or break situation with him and the Lions. If you guys don't do anything now, let him figure out a way to get that money off your books and just rebuild and just start a 3-year plan after that. Because Patricia, you're done after this season if you guys can't step it up. He's had 2 years of fixing it, and he went in reverse last season, Jeff, and still was able to keep his job. So now he's on. Now you don't have the safety blanket of the owner being there. Now our kids run the team. Guys that were ready to fire everybody the moment William Ford passed away. So they're not playing around. They want to see a winner eventually in Detroit. So with Detroit this season, I want to be like, man, Detroit should be over that 6.5. But they're going to stay under, Jeff. It's just going to be their 5-6-1 team at best. But one thing about Detroit is they will have some Sundays where they're going to make you money as a big deal. Let's go ahead and have that on your plate for you. Jeff, what you think?
I want to back the Lions this year. I think they were moving in the right direction. I think Stafford's injury, basically, they pulled the plug, like you said. And you talk about bad beat city. It all started with the Calvin Johnson catch. And, every catch after that, it just seems, the last year alone, there was 3 or 4 games. They were inside the 2, like you said, about to win the game, fumble. 4 straight throws, incomplete, flags. They just find a way. When you walk around with the doom and gloom, the black cloud over your head, bad things are going to happen. I think this year they added DeAndre Swift from Georgia. I think with that and Kerryon Johnson, who's a little nicked up, they got a good 1-2 punch there. They got a great young tight end. They have one of the best young wide receivers in Galladay. I think if their defense can keep them in the games, I think if Stafford can keep the turnovers, slow the game down. You don't have to get into the 31-30s with Rodgers or with Cousins. You said the number. What do you have for a number on them under over?
I have them 6.5, and I'm getting plus 105 on the under 6.5.
I'm going to take, as I went under on the Bears, I'm going to go over the 6.5 on the Lions. I think they got a good chance this year not to just get to 7-9. I could see an 8-8 and maybe even a little better. Obviously, if Stafford stays healthy. You talked about that contract, by the way. If I'm not mistaken, he is in his last year. I was hearing rumblings if they could have persuaded a move and got him over to New England this past year. And that would have been a perfect quarterback for Belichick, I thought, to start with Stafford instead of Brady. A nice little transition there. But I'm going to take the over 6.5, Pops.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, Jeff. I was playing Crazy GM earlier this year, and pretty much what I said when we were having this Dak issue and everything like that, I said, why don't Jerry just go ahead and pull the trigger, make Detroit be the one to pay Dak for the future, go ahead and bring on over broken back Stafford to come on over and be the cowboy, the wrangler, that guy, that great American quarterback that you're really looking for. So, Dak is great, but, pretty much I've always felt like Matt Stafford would be a perfect cowboy. And if I was the GM, I would have tried to really work that deal out somehow, some way. But we don't get those monster quarterback for quarterback deals ever in the NFL. So that's just dreaming right there. So pretty much let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the elite teams of the division, the guys with the expectations. And that first team is going to be the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers, I don't know. They got this issue with the coach and the quarterback, Jeff. And then you go get Jordan Love. You make Rodgers even more irritated with that. But Rodgers got to understand, just like when they drafted him to be Brett Favre's replacement, you weren't quite ready to be his replacement at that point. Even though you worked just as hard as him, they had you in there as an insurance because they knew that, hey, we're going to give Favre another three or so years. And then when it's time to give him his turn, we're going to give him a year or two. And if he's a failure, then we'll let him go. But he wound up being the next top 10 all-time quarterback. So pretty much what they're trying to do is make sure they're passing that torch correctly. They tried to get backup quarterbacks in the past, but it was the same issue that they had with Brett Favre over the years. You would bring in a guy who's third, fourth, fifth round pick, who's really good in college, but he's going to be a backup. And when he does come in, he's not all the way fully prepared to really be Aaron Rodgers, really be Brett Favre. You know, so he's what we call a career backup. They drafted Jordan Love with the idea that our quarterback only has so many years left of being an elite quarterback. And so instead of us being caught in the middle of, you know, being bad for 3 or 4 years trying to figure out finding a quarterback, let's prepare him now and have the mentor, you know, be here with him. So then he'll be prepared to be our quarterback. And so we understand that, but I feel like Rodgers is trying to sabotage this thing. And that's exactly what Brett Favre did. So pretty much we're looking at the same movie again, but I think that this year, I don't see anything out there with the Packers, Jeff, to be dead honest with you. I don't see I know they got some really good receivers, but they don't have the Jordy Nelsons of the world for the consistency. I'm talking about consistency to the point to where a guy is out there every week. Their receivers are always on the injured reserve. And I truly do feel like Rodgers is going to be thrown to a lot of receivers this year as usual, and the running game is going to have to be effective like it was last year, but now we're going to key in on the running game. If I'm a coach preparing for the Packers, I know that their team is a much better running team now. If I take that away and I make Rodgers have to go out there and beat me, I think I'm all right with that. You know what I mean? Because his receivers aren't Pro Bowl guys. He does have a Pro Bowl type receiver, but when you look at the rest of the guys, he doesn't have that guy that's coming into his own yet. But we'll see when the season starts. But all in all, this makes me put these guys under the 8.5. And I know that sounds crazy right now, Jeff, and I know they'd probably be much better than that. But let's make some money right now, too, at the same time, because that's some plus money for you right there as well. So I feel like they're an 8-8 team at best this season, Jeff, to be that honest with you, because I just feel like it's going to fall apart with Rodgers and his coach, man. And what are your thoughts on it?
I think if you're showing an 8.5 number, there's probably some 9s around. I'm in the same boat as you. It's funny you say that because I thought last year their 13-3 was smoke and mirrors, and when they got their butts whooped to San Fran, it really caved in. So now Rodgers complains he needs wide receivers. What do? They go out and draft a quarterback in the first round. Well, now they're showing Rodgers in the second round, and all these wide receivers hanging around, and they go out and get A.J. Dillon. Actually, they had back-to-back picks. I'm sorry. So my point is this, is they're in a division where the diva is now his I used to be a big Rodgers fan. I used to really enjoy watching him. His shtick has gotten old, and he's wearing out people, and there's a new coach in town, a new sheriff, who ain't taking it. And I think they're moving and trending down. You talked about Jordy Nelson and another wide receiver back in the day, Greg Jennings. They had that slant. They had wide receivers that could get the ball in goal. Devontae Adams, great wide receiver, but they have no one else around him. They don't even have a decent tight end. And so their defense is better, not great. And the other thing that we haven't talked about yet at all is who are they going to Lambeau Leap to this year? There's no one in the stands. So, the Lambeau Leap, God bless them. Good luck. So that whole home field advantage, that frozen tundra, well, guess what? They'll have a frozen tundra wherever they play in December. So I'm asking the viewers to shop around. If you can definitely get a 9, play the under. I agree with you. I could see an 8-8. I think, though, depends upon Detroit, Chicago, how that plays out the rest of the season. Can one of these teams pick them off? If they're getting these layups and you're buying into an 8.5, I think by default they might get to 9. That's why I said if you could shop around and get a 9. I am Packers going down, so I will take your under 8.5 as well. If your viewers can buy a 9, I'm on the under all day with these guys this year.
Right, and and it's easy. It's going to be easy to buy a 9. I know that it's on that jet. I already know it's on that bridge where it's going like this. You know what I mean? And that's why it's like, okay, we'll know by the time we get the kickoff what people are thinking. I think late money's going to push them to a 9. Because people see the 8, they're going to go crazy. Like, 8.5, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's easy money right there. So we'll see. But they are plus 150 to win the division as well, too. So, you know, that's a good number for you. That's a value for you as well. And Detroit's 5-1. And the Bears are 350 is plus 350. So this is going to surprise everybody because this team is plus 350 to win the division as well, too. But I think this could be the best team in the NFC this year, Jeff, after they added in Ikwe the other day from the Jaguars. And that's going to be the Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters. Boy, oh, boy, that defense is going to be something else. I think that the old ball coach is going to be in love with that. He might be back to being Dallas 92 all over again with that group. Like, there is no Deion Sanders there. So, you know, but that's not 92, y'all. That's 96 Cowboys, actually. So pretty much 95, no, 96, right? No, 95. All right, but yeah, he doesn't have he doesn't have those same elite DBs, but they're pretty good though, Jeff. They are pretty good. So the Vikings, they really catch my eye here, Jeff. Like, when they picked up Igwe the other day, I said, okay, well, let's do this. And I said that with the comments that Cousins had the other day, he has a whole brand new fan base now. You know what I mean? That's a real American right there. So, you know, Cousins is a guy that I think that is going to be – he's on a make-or-break situation as well too, Jeff. If I'm sitting there, the owner of the Vikings, what have you done for me lately? I know you got me to the second round, but then we got embarrassed by a team we should have beat. I'll be dead honest with you. I really thought they should have beat the 49ers, to be honest with you. But they let the 49ers run roughshod all over them that day. You know, they got a big touchdown early, and then kind of just coasted throughout the rest of the situation. And it showed that maybe Kirk Cousins isn't a Super Bowl-type quarterback. Maybe he's just good enough to get you to the playoffs. And you need something way better than that. So I'm dead honest. He is on a make-or-break situation, getting paid way too much money to keep losing in the second round or losing in the first round and not even having a chance, Jeff. That's the main problem with me. You know, you're not even giving him a shot to win the game. So, all in all, that's my third degree for the Vikings, but here goes the good stuff. They got themselves a very good wide receiver corps. They got one of the best tight ends in football. They got one of the best offensive lines in football. They got one of the best running backs in football. They got everything that you need to be a Super Bowl team. It's just up to them to get to that point. And I got them winning this division, Jeff. It's gonna be a dogfight for them. But I feel like everybody that goes through Minnesota in this division loses. They're the 3 home wins in the division. And we'll see how it goes when you go to Chicago and to Green Bay. I think they sweep Detroit, to be honest with you. So that's how I'm looking at it right now. I think that they are the standout in this division of a division full of teams that it's unpredictable because when everybody's plus money, they saying they don't know who's going to win the division. That's what the odds makers are telling me, Jeff. You know, when you get a minus on somebody, they're saying this could be your lock. But when they give you 4 pluses and give you 2 350s and a 5-1 and a plus 150, they're saying, we don't know where we're going with this one. This division's wide open. It's all based on what's going to happen the first 2 months of the year. So that's my 2 cents on it. I love Minnesota in this division. I'm picking them with the plus 350 to win the division as well, too. And I got them definitely going over 8.5 games easily, Jeff. And it's crazy to me that they don't have anybody at 9 here, but I know at other books they do. But I'm definitely taking the over 8.5 here, Jeff.
I 100% agree with you. I'm looking at reasons to beat the Packers this year, and Minnesota stands out. Like you said, the addition from the Jags on the defensive end. They have Dalvin Cook. They did lose Diggs, but they grabbed the rookie wide receiver from LSU. They have Thielen, who's a great possession wide receiver. They have 2 great tight ends. I think it's time Irv Smith. Now, surpasses Rudolph at the tight end position. But I think a nice little dual threat that they do have there. Defense is great. They'll be putting pressure on the quarterbacks. Secondary will be fine. This is what makes or breaks the Vikings. They paid the quarterback. Cousins, this was his stage to take it to the next level. What is killing them is inside the red zone. When they get inside the 20, they're settling for field goals. And you need to score touchdowns inside the red zone. And so it's a make or break year for Cousins and the Vikings. They're all in. I'm with you, over 8.5. Win the division. Okay. And I'll end this segment right here with my second place and my sleeper, my dog, is the Lions. I would not be shocked if the Lions finish second in this division. That's how down I am on the Packers. Now, again, like you said when we started this show, hey, the Packers go box to wire and they're 13-3 again. I'm wrong, okay? But it's a division where I think there's some teams set up to beat this team, the Packers. Minnesota, definitely, it's their division to lose. And I like the Lions to outperform the Packers, especially if they can get out early. It's a year of COVID. It's no fans, or maybe 5, 10, 15, 20,000. There's no home field advantage. There's no 12th man. We'll find out next Thursday when in Kansas City, one of the hardest places to play. Yeah, they'll have the music piped in. They'll have the crowd noise piped in. They might have 15, 20,000 there, but it's not like 60, 70, 80,000 screaming fans either. So over 8.5, Purple People Eaters. Fran Tarkenton to the rescue. Here we come.
There it is. And see, just like me, but I'm in revert. I'm on the other team that nobody's thinking about here, and that's going to be the Bears. So I'm like you with the Lions. I think the Bears are a playoff. We wind up being that second playoff team in the division. So that's how I'm seeing it right now. So, hey, so that means free stuff for me in Chicago, free stuff for Jeff in Detroit, okay, when we show up again, all right? So, there it is. So pretty much deep dish pizza for me, and then you can get Jeff some of that good Detroit deep dish pizza, because Detroit deep dish pizza is, you can get it from Little Caesar. So that's how it looks. So they call them sheets, right, Jeff? Don't they call them sheets around your way? Yeah. Let me get you a sheet in a round one. All right, so let's move on to a fun division, Jeff. One that they already pretty much said that it's a call. It's already done, and that's not how it works in the NFL, y'all. Because Jeff told me this, and we always laugh about this, because the only locks you get are on your front door and on your back door. All right, but if any team you would think could be a lock, it's this one, and that's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. 14-2, looking good. They got themselves a nice over-under 11.5 as well, too, Jeff. Minus 300 to win the division. Everything looks good. They got the MVP, Lamar Jackson. They got Dobbins coming from Ohio State. They still got the Heisman Trophy winner, Mark Ingram. They got Hollywood Brown. They got everything. They got the better Harbaugh brother who coaches. They got all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, though, I've never seen this team have back-to-back type ultimate performances as a team. They usually fall off after having a big season that they did. Their record showed that they were a Super Bowl team, right? That they could possibly be a Super Bowl team. And this reminds me of the last time they won the Super Bowl, and a lot of people thought they were going to be able to repeat. And it reminds me of the first time they won the Super Bowl. They came back. A lot of people thought that this team is ultimate. There's nobody that can beat them. Ravens, to me, took advantage of a schedule that favored them a lot, in a sense. Same thing with San Francisco, Jeff. And as I kept preaching, and I was preaching to the choir, I guess, as well, too, the run game is still king in the NFL. The top 5 teams in the NFL record-wise were top 5 rushing teams as well, too, Jeff, last season. And I don't care what you guys do and how great you're going to make the passing game and how easier you make the passing game, the run game always gets you the big win. Whenever you need a big victory, the run game is going to be the difference in a game. And when you need to dominate a game, the run game, if the run game is dominant, there's nobody who can really stop you that day. it doesn't matter because you're not passing. You're not doing what coaches. I remember there was a coach, he used to hate passing the ball. He said because there's three things that happen when you're passing the ball, and two of them are mistakes. So pretty much, you know, it is good to have a run-heavy mind state, but we know this NFL, you have to have balance. And I felt like what happened to the Ravens in their playoff game is the balance was gone. They literally said, Lamar, save us. And Lamar had maybe one of the greatest games individually ever, rushing and passing in that game. And they managed to score 12 points that day. 12 points. So that goes to show you he went out of what you want him to be, and he had to really become a passer in a sense as well, too. And he couldn't be the magician you want him to be. My thing is, my only gripe with the Ravens is, did everybody else watch the Titans tape? Because the Titans really went ahead and showed you some things that be a problem in the season. Same thing happened with Vic. When Vic had his greatest year, the next year, a lot of defenses cut on that tape. They figured it out. I think he's a bit different from Vic, you know what I mean, speed-wise, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, I feel like the NFL is too smart to keep getting dominated by Lamar Jackson as he made the proper adjustments to go to the next level. I know everybody's like, he's already an MVP. There's a lot of people that have been MVPs. Priest Holmes was an MVP, Jeff. So, you know, what does that mean? It means you got to stay consistent. You got to maintain that. So I think it's a bit of an overhype, Jeff. I know I sound crazy right now. I know a lot of people are going to be, come on, Pop, you losing me. But y'all will see in December, this team is under 11.5 wins to me. They're a 10-6 team still. They can 10-6. They can still win double-digit wins and everything this year. But they're gonna have headaches this year, and it's gonna really happen in the division as well too. So I truly do think that we go under 11.5 here with the Ravens. What are your thoughts on the Ravens, Jeff? And you're giving me that face right now too.
I like the Ravens in this sense that we've talked about this in the past is you need to go to that next level. We talked about 2 years ago, Mahomes lost the coin flip to Brady in OT. Brady marches him down. They go on to the Super Bowl. What happens next year? Mahomes goes box to wire even after an injury, okay? Lamar and Baltimore are built to win and win now. Last year, great year, blindsided by Tennessee. I think they learned from that. By default, they have to win 12 games this year. Seattle is traveling 30,000 miles this year. The Baltimore Ravens are traveling 6,000 miles. They never leave the Eastern time zone. It's like the NFL's like, geez, give us that 15-1, that 16-0, that 13-3. I'm with you because they got the tape. The NFL has the tape. What happened to Baltimore in that loss? They got behind. You let Baltimore get out in front of you, 10-0, 13-0. NFL might as well just go to another game. You're not going to come back and beat them. You're not going to even see the ball, okay? So I like the Ravens. I think they go over. I think they're tailor-made for a huge bounce back to take it to that next level. But I think there's another team in that division that might have that final say. And we'll find out. But I have to lean the 11.5 just by the schedule pops.
I got you. And I know I just want to be the crazy person today with the Ravens, you know, because I know the Ravens are – everybody's flag. Oh, my for sure. That's my lock. That's my everything. But I seen this team do this before, Jeff. That's the whole thing. I seen them be great and then get put out in the second round and then come back the next season and go 7-9, 8-8. Because injuries play a part. Because things get figured out. And because you might be losing something defensively, Earl Thomas. So we'll see how it goes. But let's move on forward to the team from South Ohio. It's the only team that really gets two states, man, Jeff. They get, since they're in Southern Ohio, that's at the two, literally right across the river from Northern Kentucky. So they got Kentucky riding with them too. So don't ever forget about Kentucky. And we do have the Kentucky Derby going on this week. The show might not be on before the Kentucky Derby, but yeah, Kentucky Derby, guys, make sure you guys watch that Saturday. I had to throw that in there real quick, Jeff. So, pretty much, I'm going to be talking about it on Saturday too, so y'all better tune into the other show. So, yeah, man. But back to the point. You got this team in the Bengals, and you feel like with the Bengals, it's going to be like this. They got a very good quarterback in Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow really is ready to go ahead and prove that he is, much better than, just a one-year wonder quarterback at LSU with a whole bunch of NFL talent. He's still in my Gino Torretta, Ken Dorsey category of quarterbacks until he shows me different, because those guys had the same qualities coming out of college as well too. They threw the ball the same exact way. But that means absolutely nothing when you're playing with a team that just went 2-14. But as I keep saying, the Bengals have plenty of excuses. Their best receiver got hurt the 6th week of the season. Their franchise player got hurt before the season even started, and they're going to have him back, A.J. Green, get back John Ross. These are great weapons for Burrow to open up with. Then the running game, you still got Joe Mixon there as well too. But I know Joe Mixon it's a mixed bag for him. Some people feel he's really good. Some people feel that he's very overrated. So with me, I look at this, it all comes back down to how good the defense is going to be this year with the Bengals. And it's the Bengals, you know this too, Jeff. If the Bengals can get some defense, they win games. We all know that. But the Bengals, once again, they had residency in Bad Beat City as well last year. They had a lot of bad beat games. We both know that. Even the first game of the season, they came out as the biggest dog of the weekend and almost beat Seattle. So you can't sleep on the Bengals, but once again, the Bengals are a team in rebuild mode, big-time rebuild mode. I don't trust the coach, Jeff. That's the biggest thing with me. I thought that their coach should have been banned. I thought he should have been fired at the end of the year. But they're like, no, give him a chance. No, give him a chance. I said, man, when you go 2-14, there is no chance to me. How are you going to improve on that? Because I've seen way too many coaches getting fired for going 7-9 in their first season. So why would you still let a coach who went 2-14 still coach? But it's okay. They got a plan here because they want to rebuild. That's the whole thing. It reminds me a lot of what the Raiders did when they brought in Dennis Allen. Let's just get a coach here who knows what he's doing, bring in some other good coaches and everything like that, teach the guys some good fundamentals, and then we'll bring the real coach in afterwards, in a season. And the Bengals don't have their head coach yet, in my opinion. The guy that's going to lead Burrow to being a great quarterback. I know they got – didn't they get Joe Brady?
No, Carolina did.
Carolina got it. But it's going to be funny when we get to that division. But pretty much to go ahead and end this on Cincinnati. Cincinnati is the type of team that will cover for you come Sundays, in my opinion. I think that they won't be a great winning team on, say, a straight-up win, but against the spread, they'll be over 500, in my opinion. How about that? So I got them going over their 5.5. I think they're a 6-10 team at best, Jeff. They're not going to be 2-14 this year. 6-10, 7-9. They're going to be good, and they might be able to get a big upset against the Ravens or the Steelers or the Browns. Well, the Browns isn't an upset. That's playing your brother. So, that's family, that's sibling rivalry stuff, So pretty much that's what I'm doing here. I'm taking the over 5.5 on these boys. I think that they're going to shock a few folks, and I think that they're going to be a good cover team, man. I just really do. So that's my 2 cents on the Bengals. How about you, Jeff?
Well, if we go back an hour or so ago, you were just talking the same number and the same thing about the Washington Redskins, but you just flip-flopped. I don't believe in Joe Burrow. I think he was a great story in college. He was about a third rounder, and he had the year of all time in NCAA history. Amazing year. Take nothing away from it. But he's not my franchise quarterback. Not saying he won't be a good NFL guy either. But my point is his OC's over in Carolina, which we'll be talking about. Cincinnati fell asleep at the wheel. They knew they had the number 1 pick. Make sure you go get Joe Brady. And that's why Carolina made that move, because they were trying to go get the number 1 pick and bring unite Burrows with Brady. But my point is, they paid Mixon this week in a real tough division. Personally, I think the Ravens are the team to beat that we just talked about. I think the Steelers will eventually, come playoff time, be that team that might shock the world. Hint, hint. And I think the Browns are. Last year, everyone expected the Browns to be something, and they were just 1 year away. I think the 5.5, bet the under. I'm not saying they won't cover a few games. I just think they're a year or two away. A.J. Green, in my eyes, great guy, great wide receiver at Georgia. Had his time in the NFL. He's just collecting checks. He's got to be 100% healthy to get on that field. Joe Ross still banged up. I liked him. I still like him. They have pieces, but I just think it's going to be a year where the other three teams are the better teams in the division, and I like the under 5.5, and I like it very comfortably too.
All right, so let's move forward, because I know we've been using up a lot of time, but it's cool because what we're going to do on the next segment after we take this break, we're going to go ahead and talk about both of the South and the West, and, pretty much get things going. But let's go ahead and talk about the Browns real quick. The dog pound. You guys already know those Cleveland Browns. The mayor of Bad Beach City, in a sense. They've been the mayor of Bad Beach City for the last 20 years as well, too, Jeff. Been some rough times over there in Cleveland, boy. I'm telling you, they had so many different sheriffs. I mean, in the quarterbacks, everything is just always a mess. My reason, big expectations, 50-cent turnouts. So pretty much $1 million dreams, 50-cent finishes. So pretty much, people have thrown their hands up with the Browns. I'm done with them. I'm through. How can you be through with a team like this? I'm probably going to have to pause this for a second, too, because I got to go get the plug. But I'm going to tell you like this. Pretty much, this is what I'm thinking here. The Browns are on a revenge tour, Jeff. And you give me that face again. They're on a revenge tour. Baker Mayfield wants to stick around in this league. He wants to be bigger than just a 3-year quarterback before he has to go be a backup. You got Juice Landry. You got Beckham, who might be revitalized this season. And then you got Nick Chubb, who could carry you to the playoffs this year if you go ahead and let him get 20 to 25 carries a game and just make life easy on yourself. And then you still got Kareem Hunt as well, too. Their biggest issue is the offensive line. We all know that. The offensive line figures out how to really be a dominant offensive line. The whole NFL got to watch out. My thing is, what makes the Browns a better team this season, when Garrett went out, the Browns were playing their best football. They were playing very good football, especially on the defensive end of the ball. He goes out, everything kind of went to a disarray. You know what I mean? And everything kind of fell apart. And they figured out that they didn't like their coach. And we all knew that their coach was doomed from day one. They should have just kept Williams as the head coach, but they didn't want to do that. So pretty much the Browns wound up being in another let's try this out situation. It messed them all the way up. This year, they got themselves a good leader in Stepnoski, who's been a part of a winning culture in Minnesota, and I think that he's going to be able to rub that off on this team. I got them going over, Jeff. I actually got them really competing with the Ravens this season, and I think that the biggest barometer of anything for them was when they pretty much went ahead and did what they had to do, beating them last year 40-25. So the Ravens know this, and they know that the Browns are tough. And I think that they're going to have themselves a hell of a back and forth this season, to be dead honest with you. I think this division, this is going to be the pain in the Ravens side right here. And I think this year, this is bold because I'm going to talk about them in a moment. I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people in Pittsburgh. The Browns sweep the Steelers this year. They're going to win it. They're going to win in Pittsburgh. They're going to win in Cleveland because pretty much they'll have Myles Garrett back to go ahead and wreak some havoc real quick. So, what you thinking, Jeff?
What'd you have for an under-over, Pops?
Under-over, I got over 8.5 minus 130.
I think I agree with the revenge tour. I agree with all their talent. I agree with Kareem Hunt, Chubb, Landry. They brought over Austin Hooper at tight end. OBJ, they could have cut ties. Which OBJ shows up? Defensively, they're great. One of the best corners in the game. You talk about Garrett as well. Here's the problem. Cleveland, to be successful, you got to keep the score in the low to mid-20s. When you put the ball into Baker's hand to win the game, that's when it gets into trouble. Okay? Stop trying to get into these shootouts 31-30. You know, you're coming in, you got to go play Kansas City, and the first one to 30 wins. No. Why can't some of these OCs understand you got a good defense, you got a good offense, take the air out of the ball. You got Chubb that can run for 1,200, 1,300 yards. You got Kareem Hunt, one of the best third down backs in the game. Slow your roll down. You don't need to score in 3 plays to give up a touchdown in 5 plays to get back out there. I think the number's set perfectly at 8.5. I just think I'm going to say Cleveland is one more year away. I'm going to steal the under 8.5 here for a reason, which you'll hear in about 3 minutes. Under 8.5.
All right, so now let's go ahead and jump into the Pittsburgh Steelers real quick. Telling you, Steelers, the mark of an old man. This country is not for old men. That's all I can say, Jeff. And I'm talking about NFL country, brother. And I honestly, at the end of the day, I truly do think what happens here is that we have ourselves a very, very old act. No elite. Well, let me not say Juju's not an elite receiver because he has a lot of commercials. So that means you're elite, right, Jeff? In today's NFL, if you have a lot of commercials, you should be one of the elite players, even though you only showed up for half the season, really, and you were hurt most of the season as well, too. You were seen as one of the toughest receivers, but you were literally hurt the whole season. And pretty much when you came back, it wasn't as great of an impact as people thought it was going to be as well, too. So pretty much what happens here is that I just feel like we have a team here that's just old, Jeff. Old, Jeff. And it's an old act. It's tired. And I don't know if my man wants to coach anymore. Tomlin is more where his mind is on other things. I think that maybe he's ran his course in Pittsburgh. Maybe he needs a fresh start somewhere else after this debacle of a season that they're going to have. And I know I'm going to have half of Pittsburgh chasing me with pitchforks and what you call it, those flames. So, but you know what? I don't care, Jeff. They're not going to be good to me this season. Let me down a lot last year. And I got this team going under 9. I'm thinking that they're giving them way too many wins as is. It ain't that type of team this year, Jeff. It ain't. Sorry. Steelers, I think the Bengals finish better than they do this year. It's just because Roethlisberger's injury at his age is hard to come back from. It's that simple. And he's not going to be effective the way that you think he's going to be effective. He might be back on IR by week 5. That's my 2 cents on the Steelers. That's it, and that's all. What you thinking, Jeff?
I am so far opposite you. It is not even funny when it comes to the Steelers. And it's not just because of the return of Big Ben. Okay, it's they have the best defense in the AFC, maybe in the NFL this year, from top to bottom. They have a hungry team. They're the forgotten team in the division. It's Lamar's division. It's Baker's division. It's a team that it's a team that won 5 games with Duck Hodges last year. Okay, so now you bring back a healthy, motivated Ben. You bring back a coach, one of the better coaches in the AFC, if not the league, and a team. That's why the Vegas put a 9 spot on him, because they want everyone to bet the under. They clearly want everyone to bet the under. This team will pass that 9. They'll get double digits. Maybe they won't win the division, but they were guaranteed to be in the playoffs. Keep punching that ticket over 9, and we'll talk playoffs later, because this team has the makings of a team that could go a long way in the AFC. Over 9.
Over 9. So Jeff got some over 9. I got him under 9. I think this might be the most overrated team in the NFL this year. I just don't like them this year, Jeff. I just don't see anything that just stands out with the Steelers. Last year, I saw a lot of things that stood out with the Steelers, and then they just kind of it just wasn't the same with Ben, in my opinion. I feel like it's just going to pick up where it left off at. And if the defense plays the way that the defense is supposed to play, I think everything probably will work out with the Steelers. But if they got to be out there all the time like they were last year, nah, not in this year's NFL. Because defense is going to take a while to catch up with offense, in my opinion. You didn't get a preseason, dude. That simple. So, yeah, man, I got them going under 9 this year. And I don't really have them even in the race to even win the division this year as well, too. I know all this sounds crazy, but that's me. It don't have to be you. That's just me. And I'm going to go out on a limb. Okay, minus 300, too chalky for me. Jeff, you know that. You know that. 300, minus 300, but if you're a big Ravens fan, go ahead, put 3,000 on, get back 1,000 if you got it. I wouldn't say put the house put the house up on them, but, maybe you can get something back with that type of bet. But Jeff might come up through the screen and wring my neck real quick with the team I'm going to throw out here as the winner of the division with the value. And it's going to be the same team we just got done kind of desecrating and saying you're a year away. The Browns still the division this year. How about that, Jeff? They figure out a way to finally win games in the end. They take the advice that we giving them today on making the run game the number one weapon for their team, and they bulldoze their way into the playoffs for the first time in 20 years as the AFC North champions. How about that? Lake Erie, stand up.
Listen, I'm a value player as well. Listen, I'm not going to release minus 300 as much as I think the Ravens will win this division. I really do. Okay, but I'm not going to release them minus the 300 either. I like the Steelers. I think the Steelers are in a big bounce back. I think the Steelers sweep Cincinnati. I think the Steelers play 2 hard-fought games against the Browns, and they find a way to win both. And I think that they at least split against the Ravens. But again, that's all with health. I mean, with Big Ben, they did not go out and bring in an Andy Dalton or anyone of that type to back up Ben just in case. They're all in on Ben and the bounce back. So they got a healthy James Conner this year. I think the defense is going to shine there. I think you're going to get Juju on a bounce back. They got a Demetrius Johnson there. They have other weapons as well. Again, Steelers and Tomlin need to go in and win these games 24-17, 24-20, not 34-30 or something. So, again, I think the Ravens win the division, but on my value play there, I would take the Steelers and the plus money to bounce back and win the division and the over 9 as well.
Right, there it is. There it is. All right, so with that, we will go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back to you. This is the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by the one and only Top DDICD Primetime Capper, and my co-host over here, the Don of Cape Cod himself, the CEO, founder of East Coast Sports Investors, Jeff Dawson. We'll be right back to you, and you guys hold tight.
Drinkade. ready for distribution worldwide.
All right, we are back with the NFL Bet Exchange, and I'm your host, Top DiBiase, the one and only, the primetime capper. I shouldn't say the one and only, because the reason why I call myself a primetime capper is because when I first started on the Twitter about 5-6 years ago, I was primetime capper, Jeff, and then there was a group called the Primetime Cappers. Like, remember the old groups that they used to come up with, like, let's be a team and we'll all come up with one play and we'll all hustle everybody the same way. They all had that, and it was funny because we used to call them, they were fly-by-night organizations, really. They really just take your money and run. And so if they would find a popular capper or something like that nature, popular handicapper, popular investor, they would take their name and make a whole group out of it to kind of make it look like y'all was together. So I put up the primetime capper so I could separate myself from that group. So I just always went with the. And, I'm a Buckeyes fan too, so I like to be all cocky just like them. The primetime capper. So I just wanted to explain that to you guys. So when we do big interviews and when, I'm doing my life story and everything, Jeff, they'll know that, oh, that's why he calls himself the primetime capper, And pretty much Jeff knows why I call him the Don of Cape Cod. Come on, look at the guy, man. He runs things over there. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get down to it. I know I'm just yipping yapping, but y'all have to understand this is going to be a long show today because we are talking about all divisions because we got an NFL to go through next. We got games next week, Jeff, and that's all going to be our total focus. So let's get this division stuff out the way and just know that the show usually will be 1 hour. So pretty much I just got to give you guys that heads up. But I hope y'all are enjoying yourselves. So let's go ahead and get into it, Jeff. NFC South, brother. You already know the AFC. Hold on. Okay, so NFC South. And pretty much what we're going to do here with the NFC South, Jeff, is this became the glamour division all of a sudden. Breeze. You got Brian. And you got the golden boy himself. And then let's go ahead and add the comeback story of a decade. Bridgewater. What a division of quarterbacks, Jeff. That's all I can say. This is the best quarterback division in the league. So it can go any way, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and talk about the Falcons first. And y'all going to love this. Y'all going to love this. Falcons. Boy, I like these guys, Jeff. I like them a lot. Early. Your big ad during the summer. Julio Jones still top 3 receivers in the league. You got Riley, that boy, baller. Telling you right now. And they got the best center on football, Alex Mack. I'm telling you right now, Jeff, this team is going to be good. I'm going off the fact that Raheem Morris is taking over the defense full time. When he took over the defense, that team became different. Let's picture this. Your team goes 1-7 to start the year. They finished up 6-2, second half of the season. They were the best team, one of the top teams in the second half of the season. If we played first half of the season, Falcons was one of the worst. Got to the second half of the season, Falcons were one of the best. And then they went over there and punched the Niners in the nose to make sure that, to ensure that, pretty much that you guys aren't as good as you think you are, and our record shouldn't fool you. And I thought that was the biggest proving point of the season for an Atlanta team that was suffered badly because of scheduling, Jeff. We both know that they can't beat the AFC. They set them up for 4 AFC games out the first 8 that they played. And then they put them against 3 of the top teams in the NFC. So, of course, it's not going to go either way. It's just going to be a one-sided schedule of losses, it seemed like. They just couldn't get it together the first 8 weeks. Morris takes over. They go 6-2. That's the Atlanta Falcons that we were expecting throughout the whole season. And that's the Atlanta Falcons I expect this season. So I got the Falcons in my notes going over 7 games, minus 130, easily going over 7 games. And boy, oh boy, I like their odds to win the division this year as well, too, Jeff. To be dead honest with you, I love the 6-1 as well, too. And I just really like this team, man. They're one of my star teams, as I like to say. And they're in the star group. I know it sounds like I'm kind of front running right here and everything like this, but I'm trying to get you guys prepared for a big season from the Falcons. That's all I'm saying. How you feeling, Jimmy?
I like you again. It's funny because in the NFL, 4 teams that made the playoffs last year, they don't make it this year. It just flip-flops. And this is the one division that used to always, every year was a different year for a new division winner. I love Matty Ryan, BC grad. I'm a Julio fan. I'm a Calvin Ridley fan. I was and still always will be a Gurley fan. The defense let them down last year. Matty Ryan, again, another quarterback in that red zone that settles for field goals. Just can't get that score. Ever since they lost Tony Gonzalez, they're always, looking for that replacement. They had Austin Hooper, who's now in Cleveland. They bring in Hayden Hurst. I think on paper, you're right, that they're a great team. Unfortunately, they're in a division this year that I think they'll beat up on Carolina, who, watch out, in a year or two, will be special. Okay, they're going to have a hard time, obviously, against the Saints, and they'll have a hard time with Brady and the Bucks. Good team, wrong division this year. Would you have them for a total?
Atlanta is 7.
I think that they're spot on there. They had that same startup as Miami last year. Started slow, came on like gangbusters. A lot of people thinking that they're going to follow up where they were. I just think they're in the wrong spot this year. I think you're going to be looking the last couple of weeks. Do I get the over? Do I not? I would actually lean under 7 this year. Not to say that they're not a 7-9 team and even an 8-8 team. I just think they'll have they'll win against Carolina. They'll struggle against the other 2. They might split in their non-conference games. I could see a 6-10, a rebuild. What do they do with Matty Ryan? If their defense was stronger, I think they could get there, but I'm going to lean the under there, Pops.
Well, my only thing is, Jeff, about that is, yeah, the Dolphins did good, but the Dolphins, who were they playing? I felt like Atlanta did so good because they had to play the division again because they didn't get to play their division until the second half of the season, really. And they beat New Orleans, they beat Tampa Bay twice, and they beat Carolina twice. So they wind up finishing 5-1 in the division. I just feel like they got the division figured out. They just got to win the rest of the games. That's it. And that's just my 2 cents on that, but we'll get to that in a moment.
But your point there is well taken. But the Saints are the same, if not a little better. The Bucs are definitely better this year. Carolina takes a step back with a new coach, new OC, new quarterback, all of that. They wiped out their whole defense. So you're going to be able to score. All your fantasy players, man, make sure you stack the Falcons when they play Carolina or whoever plays Carolina this year. Get it done. Have fun with it this year because the next few years after might be a different story. It's just a real tough division this year, Pops. That's all.
Yeah, you're right, and you definitely on the money about that. Yeah. So we move forward, and you just talked about him. I know you couldn't wait to talk about him too. The Carolina Panthers, okay? The Carolina Panthers, they got Mr. Bridgewater, Teddy B, and then they got that boy, McCaffrey. Man, oh man, the running back that's literally made them all go ahead and find that versatile running back. But let me go ahead and give you guys a little history lesson just real quick. He ain't the first one to do this, Jeff. I remember there was this guy by the name of Eric May, and he did all the same exact things that McCaffrey's doing. But he was seen as what they called a slash back then. Jeff, you remember that? The slash back where you play wide receiver, you play running back, you the kick returner, you're the punt returner, you the everything, you the end-all, be-all for the team. So he's not a first of his kind. He's just a master of it, in my opinion, Jeff. And I think that this is the new running back. That's why he got paid all that money. You got to be a versatile running back. The days of the big bruising back, that is somewhat yesteryear in a sense. But it's still effective, though, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. So pretty much, though, if you want to win the game, though, and do it in different ways, you want a McCaffrey. And McCaffrey's going to be the brightest spot on this team. You got to keep him healthy to even think about having a possibility of going over the 5.5 wins that you already have there. And I'm just going to go off the fact that it was so disappointing with this team last year, Jeff. They kind of shocked the NFL world. They started off 0-2, and then they wound up winning 5 out of their next 6 games. And then they dropped the next 8. They just really went into tank mode, and it was all over with. Fired the coach well before the season was over. A Super Bowl coach as well, too. So that went to go to show you the writing's on the wall. We got brand new ownership. We got brand new everything. All right? This car is going to be painted a different color now. And pretty much where I'm seeing with this team right here is they're going to stay under 5.5 wins. Yeah. I think they're a 3 to 4 win team this season. You hit it right on top of the head before we even got started with them, is the defense is going to be bad. And that has been their calling card for a long time, has been defense, but it's not going to be that the case this year. And this is their first year totally without Cam Newton as well, too, in about a decade or so. So pretty much this is a brand new team. It's like being an expansion team all over again. But, hey, they were one of the best expansion teams to ever arrive in the NFL as well, too. But this is going to be different, though. This is going to be like that season when George Seifert was the coach and they won the first game of the season and dropped 15 in a row after that. Definitely know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Chris Winkie was the starting quarterback. I think, wasn't Winkie about 42?
Yeah, about Last Supper.
Yeah, he was pretty old. Old Florida State quarterback Chris Winkie was the starter that day. And he was a rookie that year as well, too. So that's what makes that real funny. But, yeah, that's what type of season Carolina is going to have. It's going to be a total rebuild season. And then there'll be a great NFL story in about 2 or 3 years on how they went from being in the bottom and going back up to the top. Maybe. I don't trust college coaches, Jeff. It's just that simple. Especially college coaches who aren't that seasoned. He didn't spend a decade coaching college football. I mean, as the head coach. He's been a coach for a long time, their head coach. But still, that's what I don't trust. I think that they kind of were a little overzealous. But when you can fix Temple and you can fix Baylor, the situation that they did, that's what gets you a job in the NFL. And I think that's what the bosses looked at when they hired him as well, too. So I really do think that Matt Rule is going to be effective coach, but it won't be this year. It's going to be learning on the job this year. And I got him under 5.5. And Carolina fans, if you feel like throwing some coins in the ocean, they're 19-1. So there it is. Your thoughts on the Panthers?
I mean, if you look at the overall division, I mean, you have Breeze in his last year. You got Brady that supposedly has 2 more years, and you got a Matt Ryan who's long in the tooth. So it was a perfect move. Hey, out with the old, in with the new. They bring in Rule. They bring in Joe Brady. They bring in Bridgewater, who doesn't make mistakes. And you got the captain of the checkoff right there with McCaffrey. You got DJ Moore, who's young. You got a Samuels, who is young. Tight end, they move on from Olsen, and their whole new defense. So this is going to be a team that's going to give up a ton of points. They'll be in some games with McCaffrey, with Bridgewater. Bridgewater did very well when Breeze was out for New Orleans last year. So I think the numbers set at a good spot. I see them competitive. I see them losing a lot of games late. I would also lean the under and beat them up now, because in the next couple of years, the Panthers will be at the top of that division looking down at the rest of this division.
You're right, because, we got a lot of grandpa quarterbacks in this division as well, too. Breeze, 40s. Matt Ryan is in his mid-30s, and then you got Tom Brady, who's literally just 43, and like, how are you still here? You know what I mean? So pretty much it is what it is, but I can't wait to get into that talk with them in a moment. But let's go ahead and talk about the Saints. Orleans Saints. Urban Street's finest. Man, you got Saints fans. The fans that dance a lot, party a lot, that got to be the Saints fans. Saints fans, they win, they will dance on you, irritate you, all that good stuff. I'm just giving out book stories, that's all. They are a very, very fun fan base, to be honest with you, but they're the only fan base I know that always feels slighted by the refs in games and stuff. It's like, but what did you do to lose the game? Just like I said yesterday about the Bucs, like, what did you do to lose the game, though? It doesn't matter what happened at the end. What were the mistakes that were made to get you in that situation? And that's how I felt about the Saints for the last few seasons, as with people thinking that they've been wronged in playoff games and things of that nature, that they had opportunities to win. So this year, age will catch up with Drew Brees. And this was the wrong season to play, wheel and deal. In a sense, you know what I mean, Jeff? And I think that they didn't want to pull the trigger on giving Bridgewater a big deal, because they went ahead and signed the other backup, the kid from BYU, to a significant deal, but they have him playing different positions as well, too. And I think that they said to themselves, well, we got a Cordell Stewart type, so if Breeze goes out, we still got a quarterback here. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's the smartest option, in my opinion. You might as well call up Tim Tebow as well, too, if you want a quarterback that they're the same exact quarterback. You know what I mean? But I think that this guy is a bit better when it comes to actually throwing the ball as a starting quarterback and everything. So pretty much it is what it is with that. And it is what it is with that. So pretty much this is where I'm thinking, in a sense, that team is doing way too much this season. I think that what happens is that they're falling apart at the seams internally, because you got Kamara, he's complaining about the money. Then you got guys like Michael Thomas, who's constantly acting like AB on the internet. Yeah, those are still the same symptoms that AB was doing when he was still a full-time player as well, too, getting mad about every little thing that you see. So pretty much I got them going under, Jeff. Let me just get to the damn point, seriously, that they're going to go under this year. Breeze is going to struggle mightily this year as well, too. I thought there was a lot of flaws that got exposed with him last season. And I thought that Minnesota really just took the veil off and showed you that you got to move forward. You got to find that new next quarterback. You got to figure out a way to where Drew Brees is on his way out the door. I thought that this was going to be the swan song for Brees, and we hand the team over to Bridgewater. They didn't want to do that. And I feel like Sean Payton, Drew Brees, both are running at their course, and they're at their end in New Orleans. Both guys, to be honest with you. I think once Brees steps off, Payton will be stepping off as well, too, to go to either take a breather or find himself a new team to run. I just think that everything's falling apart at the seams because you got guys complaining now. New Orleans used to be one of the happiest bunches in the league. Now egos are getting built. Things are starting to get a little wild because, you had the issue with Breeze during the offseason, blase. And I think that this will affect his play going on this season as well, too, because it's not going to be the feel-good Drew Brees story. They're going to keep constantly bringing up the extras, the that occurred over the summer. So that's how I'm feeling there, and I think that this team goes under, but they still present very good value. They still are favored to win the division at -150 as well, too. So they're not a pick that you'd be scared of, but I think we go under 10.5, Jeff. They're 8-8 at best, in my opinion.
I think it's a team that's been on the cusp. They've had a few flags that have cost them to make the next step in the playoffs. Breeze wanted his money as he deserved his money, and he got paid. Kamara, same thing. I mean, the guy's a beast, and he just wants to get paid. The shelf life for a running back is less than 3 years in the NFL. They kissed and made up. I'm looking for a long-term 13.5 per. Should be coming probably this weekend for him. They have the best wide receiver in the game in Michael Thomas. Good tight end with Jared Cook. Again, no home field advantage in the Dome this year, so that's a big thing. I personally think Sean Payton gets a little too cute with the Taysom Hill experiment or whatever, especially inside that red zone. Good, young, hard defense. Let's be realistic here. It's them versus the Bucks. Who wins the division and who gets the wild card spot? Saints opened up -6 against the Bucks in opening week. That line's down to 4, so that will be interesting. That we'll be talking about on a later show. Right now, it's a coin flip. I really don't think it matters who wins the division and who gets the wild card between these two. You know, first year, Tom, everyone's bought in. So I like no one talking about the Bulls defense, which we'll talk about next. Everyone's talking about Tom and the offense. It's going to be that Buck defense versus the Saint defense. Who has the better season? So I'll go coin flip. I'll take the value. I'll say the under in the Saints just because I'll probably take a little value on the other side, and with the Bucks to win the division. Not that I'm a Brady homer. I just think it's all or nothing between these two. They play each other twice in the regular season. Who knows? They could meet 3 times when it comes to playoffs. So I'll go under as well.
Okay, so I heard that, Jeff, and they had 10.5. That's why they're doing that, 10.5. They really will like that under money going in. Let me go ahead and see the exact number on that as well, too. Skipping past me. All right, it's going to be 10.5, and it looks like the under 10.5 is like you get a little bit of change on that one. It's like -120 from what I'm seeing here. So not too bad. You know what I mean? It's not too chalky or anything like that. But, you know, going over, you know, they're going to make you pay a little bit. So here we are. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Telling you, man, this is the most talked about team. This is the most talked about team not named the Patriots in the last 20 years, pretty much.
The last year's Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, well, no. They are talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as if they've already made it to Tampa. They're already in Tampa, but they've already just pretty much walked them over red carpeted into the Super Bowl, right? Because you got an old Gronkowski, my neck, my back, and my leg. Yeah, okay. Then you got Brady, 43 years old, who looked like Vinny Testaverde with a splash of Drew Bledsoe past 40 last year against the Titans in the playoffs. And then you have malcontent somewhat in Fournette. Will he show up? Will he not show up? Fournette is a great running back, but come on, Jeff. We've seen games where he went for 12 yards. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, he didn't do a damn thing. And so I go back to looking at that defense, Jeff, and that defense was really good last year, but they were really leaky as well, too. I don't know what it is with the defensive scheme that they have going, but the team gets beat deep a lot. And they really thrived off of getting a lot of turnovers last year. But we all know if you didn't have a quarterback throwing 30 interceptions last year to tag along his 30 touchdowns, it could have been a different season. They had the stats to show that 11-5, 12-14, but wound up going 7-9. And I know they saying Brady's going to be the difference. He's going to be the guy. I don't think Brady's arm is at the same level as Jameis, but his mind is light years ahead of Jameis's mind. And that's what makes Tom Brady so important to this whole conundrum of this new Tampa Bay Buccaneer wave. But you know who the Bucs look like to me, though, Jeff? You know who they exactly look like? They look like the Arizona Cardinals who made it to the NFC Championship with Carson Palmer. Same exact setup. But nobody really took the Cardinals that seriously. But they're taking the Bucs very seriously. Bruce Arians, quarterback whisperer in a sense, guy, him and his quarterbacks have had some of the best relationships ever. And, he can turn a average quarterback into a pretty decent quarterback as well, too. He's done magic, in a sense. And he got his opportunity to be a head coach down there in Arizona. Arizona wanted to move on. He gets to go to Tampa Bay, he inherits Jameis. Helps Jameis have a great year, but Jameis was throwing picks, making mistakes. I just think at the end of the day, I love Bruce Arians as a coach. He's a great coach. Great mind, beautiful mind. But he's not a Super Bowl coach. And that's what's going to come up. And that's going to be the end-all, be-all for the Buccaneers. And you just don't want Tom Brady to get old. That's all I'm saying, Jeff. You don't want him to get old early. You much rather him be, just be steady. Fournette runs the show for you. Kind of treat Brady like you did his rookie and second season in the league when he first took over the Patriots and everything. Be a little bit more conservative. Just be a really, really great game manager. And that's where the Bucs look really good on paper. They got a great game manager now, somebody that can calm them down in a front situation. But other than that, I'm not as sold on this team as the rest of the world, okay? Because I just think that Tom Brady could have went out on his high horse and said, okay, I've had a great career. This is it. Because that was a this is it game, Jeff. I'm sorry. It was. And pretty much I think he wants to right that wrong and make one more run at the Super Bowl. But Brett Favre wanted to do the same thing too. And it wound up not going too well. So we're going to see how it goes. Plus 130 is big value to me as well too, because you would think that the Buccaneers would be the minus, but they're plus 130. I got them going actually, and it sounds like I'm going to say under, but they didn't give them enough respect. They're going to go over 9.5. They're going to go 10-6, Jeff. That's going to happen. That's without a doubt. That's going to happen. But them winning a Super Bowl, let's watch the playoffs first. That's my only thing. And much respect to Tom, and I know I just ripped them a new one or whatever, but you still see me have them going over 9.5 games because that's blasphemy to me. I thought they was going to set them at a 10 flat. That's my 2 cents. How you feeling, Jeff?
No, I think when I was talking about Bowles and the defense, and you nailed it. I mean, you got a quarterback that threw 30 interceptions, and he threw at least a half dozen. I think he threw 7 or 8 pick sixes. That defense was on the field way too much. And so you got a guy, Tom Brady, who, as you know, from our long, long past, I'm not a Brady homer, but he doesn't make mistakes. Now you're adding a Godwin. You're adding an Evans. I'm not even going to say Gronk. The hell, I'm an O.J. Howard guy. Okay, you have a young guy that might finally see the light, and they just bring in Fournette. It will take a few weeks, but you got Todd Bowles, and you get a hungry young defense, a defense that's going to put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. Okay, so I could see the defense less on the field, the offense more on the field. It's an overall day. I think the Bucs do win this division. I do agree with you with the Saints taking a little step back. I will give the Bucs a 10, 11, maybe 11-5 season, and then we'll see what happens in the playoffs. But I think it's an easy over. Don't drink the Kool-Aid too fast. I mean, they'll sweep the Carolina. They'll probably end up sweeping Atlanta. They'll split with the Saints, and they'll do well in the other non-conference games. But the over should be pretty easy.
And so don't worry. When we got the Bucs-Falcons game, I'm going heavy on Atlanta. Just because of that. All right, man. So my division winner, I already said it early. I'm going to say it again. 6-1 Atlanta. Let's go. And then Bucs, you make the playoffs. How about that? That's how I see it. We going to go ahead and mess up the whole bag for y'all. We're going to make sure this Breeze Brady thing ain't ain't as hyped up as it's supposed to be. Okay, so let's move along because we got to start running now because I know we've been talking for a while, but it's a good talk. It's NFL talk, and the NFL, the only league that's gonna go off on time, it looks like. So, hey, got to do it. That's because they respected us. We got to respect them. Damn you, baseball. But yeah, we move on. AFC South. This division is competitive, but Jeff, let's be honest. This is the most boring division in all of football. Been the most boring division in all of football for the last 10 years. It's kind of Peyton Manning's fault because we always used to expect the Colts to be the winner of the division because you got to remember they moved over to the South in 2002. This is Peyton really hitting his stride and everything like that. And literally they won that division, 10 years in a row, Jeff, I think. I think the Titans maybe snatched them once or twice out that time, and that was about it. And then all they did was help the Texans get madder and madder every year and build up a team. And now they're the landlord of the AFC South. And that's the first thing we're going to start off with. And I know one thing, Jeff, and I know you know me. I have been very supportive of Houston over the last few years, especially last season as well, too. I really like their coach. I don't care. I know everybody always has their gripes with Billy O.B., but Bill O'Brien can coach. I don't care. When it comes down to it and getting to the playoffs and winning your division, he does that. And coaches don't play for – the coaches aren't out there playing. Players are making mistakes. And I know everybody's but you could coach him as coach this a certain way or you could do this a certain way. He's consistently winning. And he has a front office that's behind him, Jeff. That's what you have to appreciate about Houston. Your front office isn't moving a thing because they keep winning. They keep having a good crowd at the stadium. Their expectations are to be a Super Bowl champion and everything eventually. But this is what builds a consistent base. You know what I mean, Jeff? And you have to understand, they still the new kid on the block. This team is only 19 years old, compared to everybody else. They're 19 years old. They're the youngest team in the league. They're not even old enough to drink yet, Jeff. You know what I mean? So pretty much they're still considered the new kids on the block in the NFL, and they've done a great job of building their own fan base. And that's exactly what you pretty much got to do in that situation, I'm thinking, Jeff. So Sean Watson is a possible MVP this year. I know it sounds crazy right now, but we all know that he is literally like a Superman out there playing, and he can do marvelous things. But I think the biggest issue with them is how people perceive them. Like they automatically think when one player's out the game, they're automatically going to lose. It doesn't work like that, Jeff. It's a 53-man roster. You know what I mean? And I think that they have this attitude, just like the Patriots do, next man up. And they've done well in the next man up world. And that's why I feel like you still shouldn't sleep on Houston this season. I know they got rid of Hopkins, but that was the best thing that they could possibly do for themselves for the future. They weren't going to be able to afford him and Watson, dude, because Hopkins wants to get paid quarterback money. And no, that's not going to happen with Houston because we all know how replaceable the receiver is. And I know it sounds crazy right now, huh, Jeff? But we can go out there and go for it. Receivers can be replaced. We know this. Just like cornerbacks and running backs can be replaced, but it's hard to replace quarterbacks. Hard to replace middle linebackers. So pretty much I think that they have a clear head, a clear locker room. They don't have tension anymore. And they went 10-6 last year, and they've been a 10-win team the last half decade or so. And they've done it with third-string backup quarterbacks. And I just think that they need more respect, and I'm going to respect them still this year because that 7.5 is a slap in the face, Jeff. I got them going over 7.5. And the 3-1 in winning division is perfect to me. That's good value on this team. So let's see how it goes. How you feeling?
They're a tough team because I respect Watson. He's a winner. They brought over David Johnson. They finally have a solid running all-purpose back if he stays healthy. The problem with the Texans is they're always getting banged up. Watt can't last a full season. They got rid of the pain in the butt 2 years ago. Defensively, they just, when they needed a stop, they could never get a stop. And then now your number one wide receiver is Will Fuller, who can't stay healthy. They never addressed the tight end situation. They brought over Brandon Cooks, who would make a great wide receiver over there as well. The O'Brien, good days, bad days. He looks like a genius, and he looks like a dunce sometimes. I think I was a guy against Tennessee the last 2 years. I have egg on my face. I've been wanting to anoint this. The number that you gave me tells me two things. Vegas isn't ready to bring this team to that 8-8, 9-7, 10-6. Is it going to be Indy, or is Tennessee going to reign supreme again as well? I'm with you. I'm taking the over here. I believe in Deshaun. I believe in David Johnson. I believe that they can put this thing together, but they have to stay healthy. Give me the over 7.5, light the candle, and pray.
All right, and there it is. Over 7.5. Let's see how it shakes out. But Deshaun, take care of us, man, just like you always do, because you don't like to lose, brother. So I already know. So we move on. We got the Indianapolis Colts, and they are the flavor. They are the team. They are the team to beat. And they went and got themselves a quarterback that literally ran his course in a very comfortable place. And usually with Phillip Rivers, the way that he went out in L.A. at the end of the year, that's happy trails. Have a great life, Phillip, going over there and raise those 22 kids of yours or however many he has. And, get on down the road, become a high school football coach, you know what I mean? Or kind of get yourself prepared to be one of those hard-nosed college football coaches that we always would say, man, he was a hell of a quarterback in the NFL, but he could never get to that Super Bowl. Well, now you're going to take your end-of-the-road show over to Indianapolis, and literally I feel like he tricked them for money, to be that honest with you. I feel like he did he should have did what Eli did. He should have just retired as a Charger. I know you didn't win any Super Bowls, but at this point in time now, that is a long shot for you. And it's a big long shot with a team like the Colts. The Colts got down. They look good, but this team was really on the money when they had the cerebral quarterback in Manning. And he passed the torch over to Luck. And then, then you get Brissett, who isn't a cerebral guy, but he's a hustler. He's a gamer. And I thought that maybe they might have had their perfect fit because he's a patriot. State of mind, patriot way. You know what I mean? That type of player, that type of winner. But you know what? The Colts got patient. And they said to themselves, okay, we're going to be impatient here, and we're going to go have this idea that we can win a Super Bowl this year, and we're going to go over here and get a quarterback who's 40 years old on the cheap, who couldn't finish a game the last month of the season, and games that were very winnable as well too. And it's been the same movie. See, he's another person that has a lot of Groundhog Day situations. Am I correct with Phillip Rivers finishing the game? So you bring this guy in, and then you're telling yourself you have a possibility. I really do think that the Colts are just preparing themselves for their next top-flight young quarterback by doing this season. I think they're a middling team at best. They're talking about them as if they're a playoff team. Phillip Rivers hadn't got the Chargers in the playoffs in a while. Well, he did the year before, but that was maybe once out of the last 5 years or so. So pretty much with that, Jeff, I got them going under. Let me get the exact number for you. I got them going under 8.5 this year. I think 6-10, 7-9 at best for the Colts. All right? Because I don't need to sit here that long talking about the Colts and the most boring division in football.
Well, I got to make a stand here. In other words, we talked Texans up. Okay, let's dig a little deeper on this Indy team. They brought a veteran quarterback who likes to throw the lob up a lot. They have a T.Y. Hilton. They have a Paris Campbell. They have Jack Doyle at tight end. They brought in Phillip Rivers' new LT and Jonathan Taylor. Okay, they have Mack there. They have a great offense. The difference is, do they have that offensive line to keep Phillip Rivers on his feet, which the Chargers never could do? And he has a pretty decent, stingy defense as well. So now you're in a division where, again, am I going to get off the Titan train finally? Is this the third year I stay off of them, or do they keep biting me in the rear end here? Okay, I think Indy has more pieces than Deshaun has, but it's what will he do with those pieces? Because you're correct. He should have just waved the white flag, says, no mas, I'm going to move on. I'm all done. But he still got that drive. And Indy, just like the Patriots, they moved in. They paid for Phillip Rivers where the Patriots didn't have to really pay for Cam. I like the over there. I think if Phillip doesn't make mistakes, I think if they concentrate on the ground game, let their defense do the talking, I think they technically should win the division this year. So I'm on over on the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, I feel you, Jeff. And, it's all good. Pretty much that's why I bring you in here, because I always know that you're going to give me the truth and not say, yeah, I agree too. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, that's how it is. It's a 50-50 bag on the coach this year. There's people that believe and there's people that don't believe in the coach. And that's the right assumption when it comes down to this team. So let's move on to the team that is going to be literally, once again, the most irrelevant team in the NFL. And
Next question.
The adventures of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville said that we're throwing up the white flag before the season even starts.
Mm-hmm.
Gardner Minshew, don't overplay. I know that's been told to him already. Don't overplay in this situation, because we're waiting on Trevor Lawrence or we're waiting on Justin Fields. We're going to get ourselves a star quarterback. We're going to get ourselves a star. Gardner Minshew, you're going to be a really good backup, a really good offensive coordinator when it's all said and done. But I like Gardner. I love Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew would have been a better spot if he would have been a Patriot. That's a Bill Belichick type guy. You know what I mean? He'd have been a better spot if he would have been on the Denver Broncos. But he winds up being on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he had a dress rehearsal on being their starting quarterback, and it didn't work out. It's that simple. He did well to begin, but then after that, it just became what everybody knew it was going to become. So Jacksonville, there's not much to say. Just like Jeff said, moving on, we're going to be awesome. We don't have to even sit here this long with them. They have 4.5 wins as their over-under this year. Of course they're going to go under 4.5 games this year. This team is good enough to win maybe 3 games this year, Jeff, in my opinion. They're setting their team up to not be good this year. And their win will be a spoiler win in Jacksonville and one on the road. How about that, Jeff? Both their wins will be spoiler wins. It won't be. It'll be something that they catch us by surprise with. And it'll be like a 3-point field goal at the end. But, yeah, I got him going under 4.5. I know I'm not giving him that much credit, much love. And Jeff's shaking his head like he knows. Go ahead, Jeff. Let us know about the Jags.
I mean, no, they've just let their whole team go. I mean, Jalen Ramsey last year. I mean, the list is endless. I don't have to bore the listeners here. What I would strongly suggest very simply is if you're buying a 4.5, I'd go and click the button that says alternate lines. And if you can go all the way down to under over 2.5, and you might get them plus 180, plus 200. And because they're obviously tanking for Trevor, and by mistake, if someone tanks better than them, they end up with Justin Fields. I mean, this is a shame. You know, probably by week 5, 6, 7, 8, Vegas will they go winless? You're right. They'll pick someone off. There'll be dogs in every game this year, and they'll find a way as a 10-point dog to win a game. Something stupid. But we know we've seen this too long. This allows Indy, Tennessee, and Houston, to boost up their resumes. You got 4.5, keep punching the tickets. Like I said, hit the alternate line at 3.5, hit it at 2.5. This team might win 3 games, but it won't be on my dollar. So,
right. And see, Jacksonville, you knew they didn't want to win because they had so many opportunities to say, you know what, let's sell some tickets this year. Let's go get AB. They didn't want to even do that. So, it is what it is. Jacksonville, we know what you're doing. So we're not worried about you. You just going to be the doormat here, but you're going to beat somebody in the division. You're going to get a division win this year like you always do. We know that. So it is what it is. It's just who's it going to be. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what probably is the flavor. This is probably going to wind up being the betting favorite before we get to kickoff. That's going to be the Tennessee Titans. And there's a strong reason why. They got a great quarterback. Well, let me not say great. They have a good quarterback. And then they have themselves one of the most dominant running backs in the game. And then they have themselves one of the better up-and-coming receivers in the game as well, too. And it's not their top 10 pick as well. And that's what makes you get excited about Tennessee. And then they got that physical, break-your-nose defense, man. That defense breaks people. Jeff, come on. We know this. They break guys. You know what I mean? And they know how to play when it's time to play. They know how to be clutch when it's time to be clutch. And they got all the looks of being a really, 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 really good team, Tennessee this season. But I don't trust the hell out of Tannehill. And I think Derrick Henry is going to play some serious ball this year. But I think he's still a little bit salty about not getting that big contract that he really wanted to get as well, too. So he's going to do some proving, and he might overplay this thing, and he might wind up with a hampering injury as well, too. I just think that they're going to get snake bitten this season, to be honest with you, Jeff. Tennessee, they look really good on paper, though. But I just think that they're going to get snake bitten this year. That's how I'm feeling. But Vrabel might be the best coach coming out of the Belichick tree, but he's not really a Belichick tree guy. He's really I worked with Andy Reid guy, and I worked with a different coach after I got done, playing with the Patriots, because we all know he ended his career with the Chiefs. We all know that, because that's where he was traded to at the end. So pretty much that's where he was at, doing his defensive coordinator work and all that good stuff. And, he wants to separate himself from the Patriot way. He wants to make the Titan way. And that's what gets people excited about the Titans, because they got a coach with structure. And that's good to have a coach with structure. But at the end of the day, you can't get snake bitten. So if they got the next man up mentality and they're able to win with that, good for them. But I still have this team not achieving their goals the way that they're supposed to. I think at best they're an 8-8 team, Jeff, to be honest with you. I think they have a on I got them at 8.5.
Yeah,
under
2 years. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to go under 8.5. I respect Vrabel. He was a hell of a player here. Great coach, great motivator. Derrick Henry, again, it's just been a beast. I mean, we saw that at Alabama, and now it's just rising. But too many things have fallen into place for them the last 2 years. The emergence of Ryan Tannehill, who I liked in college. I thought he got a bum rap in Miami. A.J. Brown, stud. Coming out of college, has a great year as well. I've been waiting on Corey Davis. It just never happened for him. Defensively, they've been great. They've gotten the big kick when they've needed. I'm going under here, just in spite, because they've gotten me the last 2 years. So I go under the 8.5. I crown Indian Rivers there, and I'm actually going to lean Houston, maybe to be that wild paper. They're there, but it's 2020. I got to make a stand somewhere, so under 8.5.
All right, perfect. And I kind of lost you there for a sec too, Jeff, but can you just go ahead one more time and tell us that again?
On the spite factor, they've been there. Everything was perfect for them last year. Everything fell into place. Tannehill shined. A.J. Brown shined. Derrick Henry shined. Their defense shined. Suck-up shined. I mean, everything broke perfect. They've gotten me the last 2 years. I'm going to get them this year. It's 2020. I'm going under 8.5. I think Indy wins the division, and I even think Houston could be the wild card in this division.
There it is. So I got it like this. I got the Texans 3-1 to win the division this year. And I think what happens here for me is that I'm going to just I think that we only get one playoff team here this year. So but I like Titans, though. That's a good bet with the Titans as well. Even though I got them going under 8.5 this year, I still think that this could possibly be a Division I by 8-18 too this year. So it is what it is. That's how just low radar this division is, in my opinion. So we move on, and it's time to talk about my side of the country, the Wild Wild West. Well, in the Wild Wild West, we got the new little gunslinger, little Kyler Murray. Hey, Kyler, how you doing, buddy? And boy, oh boy, they looked good at the end of the year. They had a good December, to be honest with you. They struggled throughout the season, but their December was good at the end of the year. They got a big win over the Rams to close out the season as well too, and they also got themselves they played a very good game against the San Francisco 49ers as well too. And we all know they went and shocked the world and went up to Seattle, one of the toughest places to win at, and went up there and beat the Seattle Seahawks. So, that gets people excited, right, Jeff? That gets everybody jumping for joy because they look to be a good road team within the division. But there's still flaws on this team, and they still have a quarterback that's not 6 foot. So pretty much they are, again, playing with house money at the last season because we thought that they were actually going to be a one-win team last year, 2-win team, maybe. And I really feel like, man, it sucks to see Fitzgerald. His final seasons kind of get wasted away a bit. No opportunity at winning a Super Bowl at this point because Arizona's not a Super Bowl team, Jeff. Let's just be honest about that. But they're a team that can be dangerous this year, in my opinion. And once again, they fall in line with being not a playoff team, but an improving team once again. And so pretty much I got these guys, and I know I got to hurry. So I got these guys under 7.5 this year, 6-10 team this year, Jeff. I think they can win 6 games this year. What you think?
I think they're in the toughest division in football, personally. I think with San Fran, the runners-up last year, with Seattle and Russell Wilson, we all know about him. A Ram team, which looks like is on the decline, but it's still going to be a tough out. I like Arizona. I like the direction they're going. They bring out in D-Hop. You still got Kirk over there. You got Fitzy over there. They got a Kenyon Drake, who's a great pass-catching back. A defense with some holes still. The 6.5 is that number where do they get to 7-9? Do they get to 8-8? Can they win on the road? They open up 7-point underdogs to start in San Fran. It's actually got bet down to 6.5, which we'll talk about next week. But again, I would have to initially take that under. I'd have to go 6.5 under. I think they're moving in the right direction. They'll make the big jump next year. So we go under 6.5.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk about the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams got a pretty new stadium right next door to Hollywood Park Casino in the Forum, right over there in the City of Champions of Inglewood, and all types of gentrification is coming to the hood. That's all I can say is that, boy, oh boy, that place is going to look very different by the time we get to the Olympics here in, I think, 2028. Because they put it back 4 years, 2028 Summer Olympics. So by then, you'll see a whole different Inglewood. So pretty much right now, you got what we would call the ninth wonder of the world right now, the prettiest new stadium on the block, because that stadium's marvelous, dude, honestly. And we'll talk about the Raiders Stadium in a moment, but, man, SoFi, they spoiled the Rams a bit with that stadium, Jeff. I'll be dead honest with you, man. You would think that your team would have 10 Super Bowl rings and everything with the stadium that they gave them. But, boy, what a stadium. And the Rams opened up the season against the Cowboys, and that would have been a big, big game with fans. You know that, Jeff. It'd have been droves of fans showing up for that because there's a lot of Cowboy fans in L.A. So that would have been an awesome, awesome moment to kick off SoFi Field. But they're going to just have a Sunday night football game with a fake crowd. So I don't think that's going to be helpful towards the Rams, who are really taking 2 steps back. Right now, all they got to me to really lean on is Aaron Donald. That's it. And Jared Goff is in a make-or-break situation right now, too. And believe it or not, the head coach is in a make-or-break well, too. Because he might be getting a little bit bored being the Rams coach. He might want to go and help another struggling team out a little bit and infuse. He might need a fresh start because, come on, ESPN just came to him and asked him to be the color guy. So the writing's on the wall with McVay. He might have burnt himself out a little bit early in his career, and he might need to take himself a quick little break or find a way out of LA and coach a team in maybe a smaller market. You know what I mean? Because in LA, all they expect Sean McVay to do is win. That's it. And I think that he's trying to build, and they want to win in LA right now. The Rams were 2 years too early. I felt like the Rams, the best point of them making the Super Bowl was having the brand new stadium, and then boom, you're in the Super Bowl as well too. It always works out well in that sense. But no, they got to the Super Bowl a little bit too early, in my opinion. 2 years too early. And then the year after that, they came with a super squad and couldn't do anything with it. So now they tore down that super squad. No Clay Matthews, no Sue. Pretty much got rid of Brandon Cooks. I think that what happens with the Rams, they take 2 steps back. I have them going under as well too this year. So I have the Rams going under their 8.5, and that's minus 140. So Vegas is pretty much saying, we for sure feel these guys are going to go under 8.5 games. That's why we're giving you 140, because 140 is pretty high for the future, in my opinion. So, yeah, and I feel the same. I feel like that's an absolute, you go to a window like Jeff just said, you might have to bet it twice, maybe 3 times. And, yeah, Rams going under 8.5. What's your 2 cents on that, Jeff?
I think you hit it spot on. They were a year ahead when they got to the Super Bowl. They pushed all in to come back. They had the hangover. 8.5 is a tricky number for me. I think the loss of Gurley is a good thing in regards to they were hiding his injuries last year. They were using him as a decoy. They didn't know which way to go. They brought in Cam Akers now. Big things are expected. A lot of steam on Cam Akers right now. They have your boy Kelly from UCLA back there as well. And one other back, Henderson, who's banged up right now. Lose Cooks. They still got Robert Woods. They got his Jared Goff's binky with Cooper Kupp. Tyler Higbee had a great year last year. So they lose their kicker with Legatron. Defensively, Darnold, he's unstoppable. I mean, we all know that, but they have some issues back there. I think that 8.5 is a number where, do you believe in Arizona? Do you believe in the Rams? Because we both believe in Seattle and Wilson, and we both know where 49ers are right now. So I think that they're doing you a justice, and they want you to take the under 8.5. I will take the under 8.5 as well, but beware, you could be sweating out the last couple of weeks because they could tiptoe to 9-7. But I'm going to stay under, say they're rebuilding, and they'll be back next year.
And there it is. All right. So now we went from walking to kind of lightly jogging, and now me and Jeff really got to start hitting the afterburners here. So we're gonna run it pretty quick here, okay, Jeff, with these next few teams, because we kind of know where we're already at here. And see, the more we're talking about this over and under stuff, the more I want to get to Sunday and really get the hardcore betting, Jeff, and really be inside the game. You know what I mean? So pretty much here we are, and we have ourselves the San Francisco 49ers, the boys from the Bay, the San Francisco Tree, the team of the 80s, the wine and gold. All right, so we got that out the way. So pretty much what's going to happen this year, you don't have a schedule where it's going to favor you to the point to where you're playing against teams that are literally super below 500. That was one of the most charitable schedules I've ever seen for the first 8 weeks. Them and the Pats, Jeff, you know this. both the Pats and the 49ers had schedules that any team would have loved to have with their teams. But you can't take much away from a team when they are motivated. And the 49ers were very motivated last year. But when you lose your best running back and Matt Breida, yeah, I said it, Matt Breida was the best running back that they had. And they let him go to keep Morissette, who's more of a specialty guy, a guy you kind of throw in there when the defense is kind of gassed a little bit, and you open up a nice, big, gigantic hole for him. And then you got Coleman, who's always a guy that can get hurt as well, too. So pretty much with that, I feel like the 49ers, they did make all the great improvements that you're supposed to make. They made some banging deals, all that good stuff. But I just don't feel like their schedule is going to let them just romp through the NFL like they did last year. But we did use that excuse as well, too, Jeff, until we looked at that Packers game when they just stomped them out during the season. You know what I mean? So pretty much that it took us that long to respect them. What happened the next week, Jeff? They lost to the Falcons. So, and you know what? A lot of people don't want to say this, but a lot of the 49ers losing came at the end of the year last year. So pretty much with that, I really do feel like what we do here is you don't ride the Niners as hard as they want you to, in my opinion, Jeff. Jimmy G, the verdict's still out. You know that. You know that, Jeff. The running game saved them last year. And then the Super Bowl, I don't know, man. I don't blame their whole team for it. I just felt like it was one of those Super Bowls where when you have a larger-than-life player like Mahomes, they do larger-than-life things in the game. You know what I mean? And even though he wasn't truly the MVP of that game, he stepped it up when it was time to. And that's just the flip of the coin. You know, the Niners could have stayed on their neck, won the game, but it didn't happen like that. You know what I mean? We're in a new NFL, man, where, you know, fast break basketball, fast break football now. You know, so it is what it is. Games change by the moment. But all in all, and Jeff's looking at me right now, get to the point, Pop. This is what we're doing here. And it's pretty obvious. We're going to go under here with the San Francisco 49ers. They aren't a 10-win team this season. I think they're 9-7 and below. Jeff, 8-8, 9-7 at best. It's going to be a tough division this year. It's going to be a tough schedule for these guys. Jimmy G's probably going to miss a game or two this year, maybe 4. And that's how I'm thinking. Under 10.5, Jeff, and I'm getting -110 for that. So that means that you're cute, but you're not beautiful to us. It's sad to me.
You know, it's so funny with the 49ers is this. Now, they won 3 quarters out of the 4 in the NFL in the Super Bowl last year. And the funny thing is, everyone wanted to blame Jimmy G. It was Jimmy G's fault. It was the coaches making those calls. It was the coach taking the ball out of his hand. And when he needed to make that one throw, he didn't make that throw. But they were leading after 3 quarters. They won the first quarter. They won the half. They won the third quarter. Okay? It was a team that their offense couldn't be stopped in the regular season because of the scheme, because of the running game. Okay? So you talk about Mozart. They kicked Breida out. They got Mozart. They got Coleman. I'm hearing McKinnon's back. I'm hearing he's having a tremendous camp. Okay? Now Debo's hurt. Okay? They draft the rookie from Arizona State, a Cook, okay? They have, in my eyes, the best tight end in football with George Kittles, excuse me. Okay, they have a very strong defense that puts a lot of pressure on you. My point is you got 2 teams with Arizona and the Rams, both that are going to be a year away. You got Seattle with no 12th man this year, okay? I know there's a thing called the Super Bowl hangover. It's not happening in San Francisco. Give me the over 10 and a hook. They're an 11-5, 12-4 team, and they'll probably be hosting most of the playoffs. Give me the over, Pops.
You heard him. Give him the over. Give him the over, Jimmy. Give him the over. All right, you heard what the man said. Give him the over. All right, so here goes my darling right here. Oh, my darling Seattle Seahawks. Russell. I'm telling you, boy, DK, Russie, Penny, man, Bobby Wagner, man, these guys, you know who they really remind me of big time right now? A team from last decade, they remind me a lot of the Ravens. You know, Ravens was consistently, and you always knew who consistent. I mean, consistently is not it's not a word, but you know, pretty much, man. You got Russell Wilson, already won a Super Bowl before, and you know he's at that moment now where that was a long time ago in NFL years, you know, and he's still playing at the highest level. And last year he should have been the MVP because he wasn't throwing any interceptions, and he was literally he had some of the most exciting moments in all of football last. And I really do think that Russ knows that there's unfinished business with the Seahawks this year. And they look like that same team that had the issues that they had before they went to the Super Bowl against Denver. I'm talking about this team from the season, you know, the team from the season before, you know, got kind of shellacked in the conference game a little bit, but got kind of, you know, it was a game that they could have won, but there was things that just elements that just didn't make that happen. So this year, I think they take out that revenge on the whole NFL. I think they're on a revenge tour this year, Jeff, to be that honest with you. And quiet as kept, Earl Thomas could figure out a way to find his way back to Seattle as well, too, because, you know, Pete Carroll gives, you know, Pete Carroll is always cool. He'll talk to you about some things if we need to straighten some things out. But all in all, I think they probably passed that situation already. But I love the Seahawks team, and y'all will see why in a moment as well, too. But I really do like the Seahawks team. And boy, oh boy, I'm taking them with the over, Jeff. I love it. I love the over here. They actually gave us some courtesy here as well, too. They got them at 9. They hating on I don't know what they're thinking about that. This is a 9-win team. This is 11 or better, in my opinion, to be that honest with you. 180 to win the division as well, too. So, you know, I'm all over it. Give me all that. But I still do like the 49ers to actually go to the playoffs this year as well, too. I know I said 8-8, 9-7, but they can still make the playoffs as a 9-7 team as well. Or 10-6, because I got them with the hook. So pretty much they can still make the playoffs. But the one who wins the division, though, is going to be Seattle, in my opinion. And Seattle is going to rock and roll. I think that they get their feet wet and get a good win over at SoFi because they got so many LA guys playing for them in the first place anyway. And then I think that they actually wind up sweeping the Cardinals this year as well, too, if we want to play Miss Cleo and everything like that. And they'll split with the 49ers. But a sweep of the 49ers could happen as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. What are you thinking?
I mean, I like Russ. I've liked them all along. I think they're a great team. Pete Carroll's been a great coach. They lose their biggest weapon, which is the 12th man. They don't have the 12th man this year. Their defense is a little soft. They have some holes there. They have a good running game. They have some weapons back there. I'm a big DK Metcalf fan. I enjoy Lockett. They bring over Old Man Olsen to be their tight end this year. Offensively, what's their weakest point? It's been their offensive line. If you can't protect Russell, he's been running for his life. I think he was the most NFL sack quarterback last year, or at least if he wasn't, he was in the top 3. I love everything about them. I do. I just think, unfortunately, there's some missing pieces. I see them second in the division. I see them fighting for that wild card because, again, we'll go back with the Bucks and the Saints. One of those two is in. One of them's making the wild card. So who else is? I know there's an extra wild card spot. I'd like to put Russell in there in Seattle. You have what was your under over there, Pops?
I have it at 9 right here. And
okay, I'll give them the over. I'll say they're a 9-7, 10-6 team, and I think they get into the playoffs. I really do. I just think San Fran has a mission, and I think they're going to see that, you know, with Arizona and the Rams at 1 year away, it's Seattle's to win or lose. I got them second in the division, and I got them sneaking in as well.
All right. And I thank you guys, whoever marches on the marathon with us and everything. I'll make sure to mark exact divisions because I know some people just have one division that they want to hear about. But still, if you over here marching this marathon with us right now, we thank you very much. And we got one more division to go, and I got some futures for you, and then we'll be done, okay? So we're going to speed through the AFC West a little bit, though, because it's easy to speed through the AFC West. Jeff knows that as well, too. And up first, the Denver Broncos. Denver, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? Denver, you had the opportunity to go get yourself the quarterback of the future. I'm not sold on Locke at all. I'm not. I think the defense was the biggest reason why another team that struggled early in the season last year and had a great second half in the Broncos, it was because the defense found themselves again, and they didn't want to get embarrassed anymore. So they went out there and proved the point and did what they had to do. But they were one of the better teams in the second half of the season. It wasn't because the quarterback play, in my opinion, either, Jeff. It was because they got a really good head coach and they got a really sturdy defense, and the quarterback took advantage of the field position that defense was giving him as well, too. That's good and all, but backups do the same thing as well, too. So I feel like they're doing a bridge situation with this quarterback, and they're not really playing for the playoffs, in my opinion, I think. I think that they're playing for a good spot in the top 15 to go ahead and get their quarterback in the future as well, too. Because it's going to be a heavy quarterback class next year as well. I couldn't believe they pass up on guys like Jake Fromm, pass up on my man up there from Washington as well, too, Eason. So, I wasn't feeling that with Denver, this year at all. So pretty much what I'm thinking is that Denver finds themselves really just being middling this year, and I definitely got them going under 7.5 games. But for some people, I've been looking at shows and reading articles. This is the surprise team in the AFC West for some people. So they are worth the price of admission. If you look at the last decade, they've been to 2 Super Bowls, so they're worth the price of admission. They can be trusted, but I don't trust them. But you can. I don't trust them though. How about you, Jeff?
Well, I think you just stole my thunder. I mean, if we're going to put Kansas City above we know who's winning the division or supposed to win the division,
Right.
Barring an injury. Okay, so now I look at Las Vegas and Carr, new situation, new blah, 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 blah. That's why they brought Mariota over there, okay? And then you look at the Chargers, who Tyrod Taylor and Hebert, okay? I'm going to take the defense. I'm going to take the second-year quarterback. I'm going to take the count of Sutton, and I'm going to take Von Miller. I'm going to take that over 7.5. I'm even going to tell you this. Don't be surprised if they're not knocking on the door for that last wild card spot. I'm riding John Elway and the Broncos. I think they will be easily the second-place team in this West. And I'm not saying that they're going to be challenging the 12-4 or 13-3 Kansas City Chiefs, but I will tell you this. Don't be surprised. You can timestamp this if they're not 9-7 or 10-6. Give me the Broncos.
There it is. Jeff on the over. I'm on the under. Let's move on. All right. And now it's time for the Raiders. You know what? I'm not going to ever call them the Las Vegas Raiders, but much love to my second home, Las Vegas, because you got to understand the Raiders belong to Oakland, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. So they got 3 cities that they got to represent. So pretty much, Raider Nation, there's always excitement, Jeff. Raider Nation has the biggest expectations of any fan base outside of the Dallas Cowboys. We both know this. And literally most times with Raiders, it's ring or bust. Raiders will win the first game of the season. We going to the Super Bowl, dog. I'm telling you. Everybody knows this with the Raiders, is that when the Raiders win 3 in a row, we're going to the Super Bowl. We can't be stopped. We got all the best players. We got everything. And then you start going into the chest of all the Raider Hall of Famers and be like, well, they just like the team from 76, and then they wind up losing 6 games in a row. So the Raiders, the biggest question mark on the block right now, in my opinion. But you know what? I'm going to be dead honest with you. I like the Raiders this season. I like it. Gruden's second season, they're going to be good. Gruden got his thing figured out. And, they had no chance really last year. Last season in Oakland, AB was a cancer. It was a cancer. And you had Derek Carr questioning himself as well, too, and going back and forth with fans. So they had to get out of that big distraction, which is called Oakland. There's a lot of it's just a lot of saltiness in Oakland right now. And it rubbed off on the Raiders, and we saw that late. They dropped the last 4 out of 5 of their games, and they were in playoff position as well, too. That's sad when you were 6-14, you wind up winning one more game for the season, and that's it. So pretty much with me, I think that the Raiders, with this replacement for Amari Cooper, I think that they're going to wind up being a really surprising team. I don't say that they're going to make the playoffs, but I would put in the ticket for them to make the playoffs as well. And I do like their 9-1 to win the division as well, too, as a long shot. I think the Raiders are going to really be in everybody's – they're going to figure out a way to get this thing right, just like Gruden did in his second season the first time around. And also, they're playing in Vegas so that the magic might fall upon them, a first-year team. Jeff, you know what I'm talking about. Come on. Vegas Knights, nobody expected them to be anything. And they wound up being in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. So, hey, you can have Disney dreams in the NFL. Hey, you got to believe, right? Angels in the outfield, right, Jeff? So, hey, Raiders, I like you this year. You go over 7.5 games in my opinion. For sure. They're my Broncos. They're just like how you got the Broncos. That's how I see the Raiders. And I know a lot of people like, Pop, go jump off the bridge now because but listen to me. The Raiders are gonna be all right. They're gonna make you money on Sundays. All right, what is your 2 cents on that, Jeff?
I personally think I'm opposite here. I'm under 7 and a hook. I think the new stadium. Hey, listen, you know what? If they were playing in front of fans, listen, you're right. The Vegas Knights in hockey, this would have been the thing. This would have been the biggest show on since Times Square. I mean, this is it. I mean, Sundays, NFL, Vegas. I'm going to save that till 2021 when we're past this pandemic, we're past COVID, and there's fans in the stand. Derek Carr is not Chucky's guy. He brought Mary over. I'm not saying they're going to switch midstream, but my point is he's just one more year away. That's my point. I like Jacobs. I like the addition of Ruggs. Waller had an amazing year. Their defense has a lot of holes. So we're going to use this year as growing pains for the Vegas Raiders and Chucky. We're going to take the under 7.5, and we're going to move on.
Moving on. We will move along. All right, so let's move along, and let's go ahead and talk about the Chargers. LA Chargers. You need to be back in San Diego, Chargers. That's what really needs to happen is because this is just – it just doesn't make – it's just – wow. They give a pretty brand new stadium and people still like, I'm not going to show up. They still have season ticket issues. Yeah, you can be a season ticket holder right now for the Chargers for a very, very good price in $1 billion stadium. So if you looking for an NFL team in LA, you might want to jump on the Chargers because they need you. So pretty much the Chargers, first year without Phillip Rivers, a lot of people are going to probably be excited about Tyrod Taylor. You know, he doesn't make any mistakes. He'll start the first half of the season before they think about bringing in the kid from Oregon, Herbert. So pretty much you still got a great receiving core. You got Eckler, and then you got that good defense as well too. But the biggest problem is Derwin James being out for the season is going to play a big factor into things as well too. And I think that that's going to be the death blow to the Chargers before we even get started. They got a coach who I respect, and I don't think he should be on the hot seat, but let's keep it real. He is on the hot seat at this point because now they brought in a new quarterback, and they might want somebody else to coach them if they don't get the results that they're looking for. You know, we know how the Spanos family is, Jeff. So pretty much when they start switching quarterbacks, they think about switching coaches too. So they've lost Rivers, their longtime quarterback. They're bringing in a rookie, but they're still starting a savvy vet here. And then you have a defense that is a 50-50 shot, but one of their better players is now out for the season. So things get different now for the Chargers. And I like the Chargers, before the pandemic and everything started going into the season. And then as the coming months kept going and them skipping out on really dominant players and top-end players to make their team better, it just showed me that they're not as serious as being a elite team as everybody else thinks they are. You know what I mean? The Spanos family just still really is just doing business like normal. And I feel like, you know what? If you're in LA, you got to make big splashes. The Rams got that part early. The Chargers just want to build up a team that's good enough to keep fans happy, in my opinion. I think that what happens here is that the Chargers get lost in the fold. They become an irrelevant team as well to the season. And I got them going under 7.5. I know it sounds crazy right now, but I just think that's a go right there. It's another team that's kind of distracted by the pandemic. They got other things on their mind than just football. So there it is, under 7.5 on the Chargers. What you thinking, Jeff?
I'm right with you. It's always right around this time, the injuries on that defense. It's Boza, it's James. They just drop like flies. They move on from Melvin Gordon. They move on from Phillip Rivers. I don't trust. Listen, no disrespect to Tyrod Taylor. I think he'll be okay. It's more of how many games they're going to give them till they let the kid Hebert or Herbert start. I think Keenan Allen's seen better days. Big Mike Williams already hurt. Hunter Henry, great young, lot of upside, talented tight end who always finds a way to get hurt. I think the under 7.5 is pretty easy. I don't like to use the L and lock word, but again, a team just with no home, just looking, no fans, I think it's a team that's caught in the middle right now. And I'm with you, by the way. I think the coach has a lot of talent. I just think that they're snake bitten. So I'm going to take these guys in the under 7.5. Again, I think the Chiefs run away and hide. And I think that the Broncos are the team that will find out to be in second place in this division.
All right, so literally, Jeff just said that we don't really even need to talk about the Chiefs because Chiefs was going to come up next. And one thing is, I'm not putting minus 500 down on the Chiefs to win the division this year either. But I will say this. I will say that they do have a possibility of running into some – Jeff, let's be honest now. They ran into a really rough patch of the season. And I know it was because Mahomes was hurt at the time, but – still, they ran into – and Mahomes lost 2 of the games that they had the rough patch with. So, pretty much this team is not the 80s 49ers or the early 90s Cowboys where they're just going to come in there and break you, or the 70s Steelers. You know what I mean? They got a great quarterback, but they got flaws too. And so I'm just trying to get people to understand that don't overplay them on Sundays because they could wind up being that team that wins every game, but they don't cover for anything as well too, Jeff. Come on, man. We've ran into this with the Patriots before. We ran into this with with plenty of teams in the NFL, but Patriots just come to mind. Seahawks as well too when they were the most dominant force in the NFL. So just know everybody's bringing their best for the Chiefs this year. It's not going to be no, hey, what's up, Mahomes? He ain't at that Brady point to where everybody's shaking your hand after they sack you. They might, you still young, and they still trying to, and these guys are still young too, and they ain't trying to get shown up. So I'm going to tell you like this. The biggest target in the NFL is on the world champ's back. And that's what everybody has to understand. It ain't going to be no walk in the park this year, but they do look head and shoulders above everybody else in the West, though, for sure. I'll give you that. But I still have them going over 11.5 wins. You're getting minus 140. Vegas is saying this is a 13-3, 14-2 team, 12-4 at worst. So we got to go with the numbers. I like the over 11.5. Jeff, give me 30 seconds on the Chiefs.
I mean, clear and simple. Mahomes has another gear. I mean, after 3 quarters, they looked dead and buried. I think they had third and a jet blue. I mean, then he finds Tyreek Hill. This kid is special. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady special. He is special. And go back a handful of years. Andy Reid made it to the NFC Championship 4 straight years with the Eagles. This is what Andy Reid brings to Kansas City. He's got the quarterback. They drafted Mr. Hilaire from LSU. They have Tyreek Hill. They have Mr. Kels. They have a great defense, but they don't have the home field advantage this year. Again, but that's what Mahomes does. He finds ways to win. There's nothing. Listen, I'm not telling you guys to, what'd you say? It was 11.5 minus 140?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would take the 11.5, but I'd also go to your alternate line, see what 12.5 is. You might get even money or plus money on it. Listen, these guys are going to be in the AFC Championship, most likely, maybe at Baltimore. Maybe at home versus Pittsburgh. I don't know. But my point is they're winning the division. Sprinkle a little something on the Broncos to make the playoffs if you want. Hey, you want to get real froggy? Throw the Broncos to win the division. You probably what do you get the Broncos to win the division?
The Broncos, I have them at, was it 6-1? Let me double check. I got the Broncos actually at 8-1 to be exact. And the second best odds are going to be for the Chargers. They're 6.5-1.
Yeah. So again, listen, we don't throw out -5, 6, 700s here. The point is they're the best team. They're the Super Bowl champ. They have a coach with Andy Reid. They're not going to have a hangover. Okay. And they have the best quarterback in the game. So just be smart. That's all.
All right. So that's going to wrap up our little thing popped up because our other video is now ready to roll. It took a while for it to convert because we've been doing the show and everything. But, man, real quick with the AFC Conference Championship bets that I have here, I lined up 5 of them, Jeff. Okay, with the Ravens and the Chiefs, there's both plus 250. They automatically get a ticket because these are the 2 best teams in the race when it comes to the AFC, right? So you got to go ahead and throw them out there for the future bet. And then, you know what? I'm going to go with reliable, man. I just think that Bill Belichick could one more time throw the hoodie on at the end of the game by winning by 1 point from a great field goal and a great drive from Cam Newton, wind up finding himself in the Super Bowl with the revenge tour. 9-1 is a good number on the Pats, man. And it's just because Belichick is who Belichick is, and he figures out ways to win with anybody. I think he could throw Jeff back there at quarterback and maybe get 6 wins next season. So pretty much, yeah, man, I like the 9-1 on the Pats. And then this is better get me free everything in Buffalo as well, too. Bills, I got you on the list. It's just you would be the best story ever in a pandemic year of you winning the championship, you being one of the more smaller town teams in the NFL. It would be awesome to see something like that with the Bills winning. And they got a Super Bowl type defense, and they can turn into a Super Bowl type offense as well too. And then my long shot, and this one right here is probably gonna get the show canceled as well too. Raiders 25-1. Gruden to the Super Bowl. ESPN, big story. How about that? Vegas to the Super Bowl, first season. 25-1 is a nice number, Jeff. All right, so let me give you my NFC championship bets. Jeff, who are your top teams in the NFC? Just give us 3.
In NFC or AFC?
AFC, I'm sorry.
Okay, the AFC, I mean, again, Ravens, Kansas City. My sleeper, my dog is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm on them in that revenge tour on that side. So those are my 3 in the AFC.
All right, so that's your 3. And who's your 3 in the NFC before I get in the months?
Okay, NFC, you flip the coin, and you know what? I just think Bucks win the division. Saints find a way. Out west, I'm with the 49ers. Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now, NFC, who's in the Super Bowl? You heard it here. How about them Cowboys? They're in the NFC. They were in the Super Bowl this year. Mark it down.
All right, so let me get into my NFC group, and for my Fab 5, Jeff, 9-1. The Purple People Eaters. We gonna go party in Minnesota today. 9-1. They should be lower than 9-1, Jeff, but I know they will be bet down lower as we get closer to kickoff. They go off as a 7-6-1, Jeff, to be that honest with you. And if they really start balling during the season, they'll be at 1.7-2 or something of that nature. So we'll see how it goes. And then I'm gonna piggyback off what you just said. 6-1. How about them Cowboys? Give me 6-1 on the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, Mari Cooper, the triplets 2.0. Could they be holding up the Lombardi? Maybe, maybe not. And then we got the team that I told you that they just oh darling, my darling. 9-1 Seahawks, let's go. And then you know what? And this is just me being a contrarian, like you like to say, Jeff. Man, forget it. Give me the Bucks. Man, it's Tom Brady, Gronkowski, and you just added Fournette. I know I just ripped him to the third degree, but you have to do that when you pick them, so you don't look like you just favoring a team. You know what I mean, Jeff? You got to kind of diss them a little bit so you can let everybody know that they are the real. You know they're the real deal, but I'm gonna call out your flaws as well too, so I can prepare myself for mediocrity if that occurs. All right, so 5-1 on the Buccaneers, and then my long shot. You should already guess this. I already just said it too earlier. They're in the same division as the Bucks, and that's gonna be the Atlanta Falcons. Give me 16-1, Matt Ryan. It revenge the 28-3. But these are NFC Conference Championship bets on winning the conference championship. This isn't for the Super Bowl because this is who I got winning the Super Bowl, Jeff. I got my Super Bowl prediction for this year is going to be this. It's going to be the Seahawks versus the Chiefs. We got another all-West Super Bowl, and I got the winner being the Seattle Seahawks, 18-1. How about that? What's your Super Bowl prediction, Jeff?
My Super Bowl, I tell you, I really want to go contrarian. I think my heart says Kansas City will play Baltimore in Baltimore. Baltimore finds a way. In the NFC, I really, really think that Dallas will be playing the Saints, and Dallas finds a way. But I want to shock the nation right here. I want this on paper. Give me the year these guys played in the Super Bowl. I'm going Dallas and Pittsburgh. I'm going for a game that we played many, many, many moons ago. Dallas versus Pittsburgh. Dallas, your Super Bowl champs.
So you saying Dallas versus Pittsburgh, part 4? Part 4. All right, so there it is. There it is. And real quick, we know that next week's show is going to be focused all on Sunday and Monday. So we're going to get our Thursday pick out the way just really quick. I have more breakdowns for everybody. You guys know I got the daily show, so we'll have more talks about this or all that good stuff. We'll have the prop bets ready for you next Thursday, all that good stuff on the show, on the primetime angle. So what I'm doing here in my MVP is Russ Wilson, 92, Jeff. That's my guy. That's who I got as MVP. Real quick, who's your MVP?
My MVP this year in the NFL, why not? Dak Prescott.
Dakota Prescott. All right, so NFL opening night. We got an opening line of 9.5 from what I see here, Jeff. And then we got an over-under of 54. So you know what I'm going to do. I never like taking the Super Bowl champion on ring night. And I guess they already had ring night early because they were not going to be able to have ring night on opening night. But still, it's going to still have a lot of excitement to it. And you're going to be getting a lot of media in your face all week as well, too, about it. And the Texans should be pretty pissed off by being a team being up 24-0 and still losing the game in the playoffs as well, too. So I'm going with the plus 9.5, and I feel like there's going to be some scoring going on. I'm taking over 54. Jeff, real quick, where are you going in this game?
I'm seeing some late movement on the 10 to 9.5, like you said, and also the 55 to 54, 54.5. I would honestly lean the Texans plus the 9.5. I would tell my guys, if you can get 10 now, or buy the hook. So we're looking at Texans plus the 10, and on the total again, the whole world's going to have the over. So me being a contrarian, if you can get 54.5, we take the under there as well.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good. All right, so that is all. This is the first episode of the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and
Jeff Dawson, the Don of Cape Cod at East Coast Sports Investors.
all right, and you guys will get the handles as when we roll the credits. So thank you guys very much. Have a beautiful week, and we'll be back to you